I don't like a lot of the stuff Israel's doing. I think they stood down. I think it was a false flag. I mean, I think real Islamists attacked, but it was clearly money Biden sent. But what's the larger picture here with Harvard and the big universities endorsing this? We got a lot to talk about in the 45 minutes or so we've got him, and I'm going to cover some more news after he leaves us in this hour before the next guest joins us. But clearly we said another big war is coming. That's going to be the distraction from the COVID deaths, all the rest of it. And now they're trying to trigger a holy war. Obviously, you get boosted big on Twitter and everywhere else, Hotep, where you're already reaching millions a day if you got on the bandwagon. But clearly the establishment is trying to create some type of clash of civilizations here. Hotep Jesus, thank you for joining us, hotepjesus.com. And the people can also find you at Hotep Jesus on Twitter and menofhonor.com. So, Hotep, thank you so much for coming on with us.
Oh, absolute pleasure, Alex. So, yeah, so your take on Israel's pretty much similar to my take. Obviously, the timing is convenient. We have election season now here, a.k.a. grifting season. Nikki Haley has proven to be a supreme grifter herself after her comments on Fox last night. But what's the bigger story here? Well, first of all, the next distraction is to create something domestically, right? Create some sort of event domestically. Now, it's been happening in spurts here and there. You have protesters clashing. You have Grand Central Station being attacked by pro-Palestine protesters. You have Jewish people being attacked. A lot of different skirmishes have taken place on domestic soil. Much of this planned, much of this known by the elite rulers. And that was one of my fears early on, where there's conflict in the Middle East, and because of all the vitriol on social media spilled into our streets. Now, much of this stuff, as we know, Hamas and Palestine has been supported by George Soros. Black Lives Matter supported by George Soros. We've tracked down some of these protests between the pro-Palestine socialists, but I think Stop the War Coalition is one of them. And Jeremy Corbyn is partly behind some of these protests. So what we have is a communist socialist takeover of another people's struggle. But what's the bigger story that's happening here? Well, while everybody's distracted by the Middle East, what we are experiencing is a complete and total financial transformation where money is going to change how it operates, both at a wholesale level and a retail level. Right now, the House Financial Services Committee is discussing Basel III Endgame. And basically what they're talking about now is, what are the capital requirements?
Yeah, I can try to get that handled for you. Again, it's only my second day, so if you can give me a second. How am I supposed to do this? How the hell are we supposed to do this by 5 o'clock?
I have no clue.
Is that possible? Hey, do you have the password to... How'd you finish all your work already?
He's not tapped in. How'd you get that done so quick?
They think they're gonna be able to budget that?
It's money. That's money right there, you understand?
You guys finished your work 6 hours early?
He's not tapped in.
Everywhere I look, all I see is examples of the base left. The Grift Report starts right now.
2, 1, boom. Hotep Jesus.
Of all the Jesuses I know, he's the Hotepiest. Social scientist and YouTube host, Hotep Jesus.
How the fuck do you get a name like Hotep Jesus?
The one and only Hotep Jesus.
Ryan Sharp, better known to the world as Hotep Jesus.
Hotep Jesus. Hotep Jesus. Hotep Jesus.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
Somebody said, what do you think you are, some kind of Hotep Jesus?
Ooh,
and
that's
I was
good.
Just like, ooh, that's sexy. Yes, I do think I'm Hotep Jesus.
What's up, Hoteps? Welcome to the Grift Report, live Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. I'm your host, the Grift God.
Hotep Jesus. Hotep Jesus. Hotep Jesus.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
Oh, this a real Hotep brother.
Hotep to the chat. Hotep to the Hotepistanis. Hotep. What is this button? Oh. All right. I forgot I had that there. Who's in the chat? Cassius Cam, what up, man? Who's in the base left? We're going to get into that. Haram Life said he got his Apex today. You lucky bastard. Salute, salute, salute. Shout out to Nerd Nash. Salute. Midwest Sep, Anarch Cup. What up, y'all? As you already know, it's grifting season. It's grifting season. That means the grifties are here. Make sure you go get your tickets to the grifties, grifties.com. When you go to grifties.com, it is going to take you. You hit the buy tickets. It's going to take you to the Dojo of Comedy website, Tips Comedy Club, tipscomedy.com. And then you can fill out the details there and say, hey, you know, I want to buy 100 tickets, you know, whatever that is. Add to cart and then cash out. Sorry, I'm just looking at something there. All right, cool. So yeah, make sure you get those tickets. Really looking forward. This is our first attempt at a live award show. The first 3 were done pre-recorded and edited, etc., etc. This is gonna be the first live award show for the Grifties. This may or may not replace HotepCon, depending on how this goes and how much money we got left. There may not be a HotepCon this year. So if you loved HotepCon, come to the Grifties. This may be our annual fundraising event, if we even raise any funds, for Hotep Nation, a nonprofit that specializes in assisting the homeschooling community. Also, don't forget, as you can see below me, Apex has just dropped. That's our testosterone support supplement. Go to menofwater.com. If you if you use the link, or if you lose the link, you can check the description box below and use the link in the description box below. It will apply 30% off your order. All right. Nerd Nash said, we getting that Mo Facts on Thursday. Black Twitter Report. How dare he come for the Black Twitter Report? How dare he say that we are making fun of black dysfunction? How dare he? How dare Mo Facts say the Black Twitter Report highlights black dysfunction? No, you know what it does, Mo? You know what it does, Mo? It brings us closer to a black audience. Nerd, you're a genius.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
We take the things that Black Twitter is talking about, and it allows us to weigh in from a Hotep perspective. That is important. Xantoma said he's getting his today. Salute, salute, salute. So make sure y'all tune in Thursday. Hotep's been told you for the Black Twitter Report and much, much more. All right, let's go to the bag. Wait, wrong screen. Here we go. The Destiny debate dropped. The Destiny debate with Ben Shapiro. Now, unfortunately, I don't want to play the video, but I think we have to, because yesterday we were talking about the woke right. And Goldstein said, well, if the woke right exists, then there must be a based left. And we're going to get into some examples of a based left. Now, I have not watched the Lex Friedman Destiny debate. We're not going to watch all of it. I'm going to hand select a particular timestamp, jump right to that, and see if there's anything in here worth our time. Now, why I do not want to cover grown-ass man named Destiny. We're going to have to call him D. Pause. Don't matter what you call this nigga. He's just pausable. We need another name for this nigga. We're going to call him based left, because that's really what he is. He's like, you know, the closest you're going to get to an example of the based left, right? I think, and that's what we're gonna take a look at today. And we got other examples. So let's go ahead. Let's pop this up and see, is there anything in here worth our time? And can this cuck named Destiny represent the base left well? That's what we're going to see today. So let's go to the screen share. We're going to go to the timestamp on wokeism. Let's see what they say about wokeism. Kind of crazy that's a timestamp, but let's go to it.
Well, recently in the news, the presidents of Harvard, Penn, and MIT failed to fully denounce calls for genocide. And that rose questions about the influence of DEI programs at universities. And so maybe either looking at this or zooming out more broadly at identity politics at universities or identity politics, wokeism in our culture, how big of a threat is it to our culture, to Western civilization? Ben?
So obviously I'm going to say it's a huge threat. The reason that I think this is a huge threat, I want to give a definition of wokeism because people are very often accused of not using wokeism properly or believing that it's sort of a catch-all phrase. I don't think it's a catch-all term. I think that wokeism has its roots in...
Hold on. His voice, man, his voice. I have to like recalibrate myself to listen to him speak because his voice really bothers me. I don't know why. There's something with the I don't know, the tone, the hertz. I don't know what's going on with his voice, but that shit is really fucking annoying. I have to build my patience up, and I lost my patience with MoFax last week, and I'm about to lose my patience with Ben Shapiro, and he didn't even say shit yet. Something you gotta know about me is I don't have patience. I can pretend to have patience, but I don't have any patience. I have patience when it demands, right? Like when it's important, I can have patience. I can practice patience, but for the most part, stupid shit and gay shit annoys me. All right, let's try this again.
Postmodernism, which essentially suggests that every principle is a reflection of underlying structures of power, and that therefore
So he's attempting to define wokeism as every problem comes from the power structure.
Quality that emerges under such a system is a reflection, again, of that structure of power that used to be applied in sort of Marxist ways, the suggestion being that economic inequality was...
Okay, see, that this is what I'm talking about. And I've said this before. Why are we using the term wokeism when it's really Marxism? See, this is how the right becomes the woke right. Because instead of you using the technical term, what you do is you use another term so people don't learn and really get closer to the truth. So now you cannot define wokeism without using the term Marx. Why not just call it Marxism? Why not just call it cultural Marxism? Call it what it is.
The result of misallocation of power in the structure preserved by an upper crust of people who wanted to cram down exploitation on people. That was sort of the Marxist version of postmodernism. And then it got transmuted into sort of a racial version of postmodernism, in which the systems of the United States are white supremacist in orientation and are perpetuated by a group of people who are, in fact, in favor of the preservation of white power and white supremacy. That is the generalized theory of critical race theory, as proposed by, for example, Gene Stefanchik and Richard Delgado in their book on critical race theory. That has taken a softer form that we refer to as DEI. The key in DEI is the E, meaning equity. So equity is a term that does not mean equality. People mix it up. Equality is the idea that we all ought to have equal rights, that we all ought to be treated equally by the law. Equity is the idea that if there is an inequality that emerges from any system, it is therefore due to discrimination. And the best way to tell whether somebody has been victimized is by dint of their race. And we can tell whether you're a member of an oppressed group or an oppressor group.
See, he already wrong. He's already wrong. And this is the issue when you listen to these pseudo intellectuals, as they say on the in the conscious community, pseudo intellectuals. He points to DEI as race, and we covered this yesterday with Matt Christensen. And it seems like all of the white intellectuals defer. And again, this goes back to the psyop. It comes back to the psyop that the right is co-opted. Intellectually, they are co-opted. What up, Donde? Intellectually, they are co-opted. Co-opted to bring about racial tension. These are race hustlers. Uncle Hotep says, call them what they are last night. If you didn't get the episode, patreon.com/Hotep's been told you, get that extra episode. But these are race hustlers. So to them, when they see DEI, they think, oh, this is for black people. Now, when I spoke to Matt Christensen yesterday, we both came to the agreement that this has nothing to do with race. It has everything to do with political ideology. Because Ben Carson does not fit the mold of a DEI hire. Hotep Jesus does not fit the mold of a DEI hire. Goldstein would not pass the test for a DEI hire. In order for you to fit inside the mold of DEI, first and foremost, you must not speak against Marxism and anything that comes or closely related to that, which means you must be a leftist Democrat or be silent. Or be silent. Because as Matt illustrated in our conversation yesterday, he said, well, in order for them to find out, you're conservative, you'd have to outwardly speak your opinion. And this is what power does. When you're free, you speak your mind. When you're not free, you're silenced. It's another form of slavery. Let's call it oral slavery. Pause. Right? Auditory slavery, where you're silenced because you know that if you speak up, you will not be the DEI hire. So you're either silent or you're conservative and you do not meet the requirements of DEI. Now, silence, again, is a form of control. Basically saying you better not speak against our politics because you will lose your job. Is that DEI? Is that equity? Is that inclusion? No, it's not. So they want diversity, but not diversity of thought. The most important thing that matters, how do people think? So they don't want diversity of, they don't even want diversity of skin color. This has nothing to do with diversity. This has everything to do with groupthink. It's mono, I want to say theism, but it's like a mono ideology where you must conform to this singular ideology, otherwise you're out, right? Now, DEI, first and foremost, is giving preferential treatment to the rainbow. Rainbow and women, You got to remember the people that run HR in this country are women, white women. So who's going to benefit the most from DEI? Just like affirmative action, it's going to be white women. And then either Ben Shapiro is a bold-faced liar, an agent, or just doesn't know any better when he thinks this thing is about race. Race. And the left is clever because they'll show you images of black people. Let's go to the tape. What airline was this? Let me try to find this, and I'm gonna show you exactly what I mean. I think it was Virgin Airlines. Was it them? No, I'm sorry. It was United. I think it was United Airlines. They had a commercial. Where is it? Is this it? No. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Anybody got that gay commercial from United? Send me the link. Tag me in it. I didn't save it because it's like super gay. This is oh, that was the CEO. Somebody find a video and tag me in it. You guys know it's like a gay airline ad. Was it Virgin too? I thought it was Virgin Air. Yeah. I thought it was Virgin Air that did the commercial. Somebody find me that. Hold on. Virgin Atlantic, I think the name of the company is. And here we go. Here we go. So let's go right here. This it? Just want to make sure it's the right one.
Changing the world. Myself, a non-binary.
Look at this. This isn't the commercial I'm looking for. This is actually something different. But if you look, I want to show you what DEI actually means. Let's just look at this right here.
I wanted to be involved in this campaign to affect change in this world. I have a
See, the first person they put on your screen is the LGBTQ ally, right?
trans non-binary child. So for me, changing the world is my job as a mom and as a friend and an ally. I feel fabulous.
White women, but white women specifically LGBTQ ally, specifically. So this is an ideology thing.
Fierce, and ferocious. And I am ready to take flight.
If this is about black people,
and
why is the black man not out front? Why is the white woman forward facing?
And an ally. I feel fabulous, fierce.
Look at the image right here. See the black man over here in the cut? See the black man over here in the cut? It's about white women. This is about white women. He'll tell you it's about race.
And ferocious. And I am ready to take flight.
Be yourself campaign means absolutely everything to me.
Look at this. You got one of these, I don't know what the fuck you call this. Non-binary.
I get to be myself, a non-binary person.
Yeah.
I have the choice of a uniform, which is a massively big thing. It's so important.
Look at the black man. Look at the black man. You see the black man that they want? Do you see it here? This is the black man that they want. It's not about race. The woke right will tell you this is about race so they can be race hustlers, but it's not about race. This is about a feminization of men, period, across all races.
This policy allows everyone to have a seat at the table. It's not taken away
See who they got talking? Tyrese, non-binary.
from anyone. It's just allowing everyone from the community to just have a voice.
It's not about cancelling people. It's not about removing women or removing men. It's just about more inclusive language.
My pronouns are, to be fair, any pronouns, she, her, they, them. I feel great, I'm not gonna lie. I feel very swell. I put it on, I said, yeah. It just feels very much like me, like I feel very affirmed in this. Like, yeah, I just feel like myself. I love it.
Let the black man speak.
We are clean and we are pressed and we are looking the way we're supposed to look. Then why aren't we able to present as we identify? And that's what's so beautiful about Virgin Atlantic.
End commercial. End commercial. Can you show me where the black male representation was? Let's go back. So now let's go back to your boy, to y'all favorite, Ben Shapiro. On wokeism.
Failed to fully denounce calls for genocide. And that rose questions about the influence of DEI programs at universities. And so maybe either looking at this or zooming.
That every principle is a reflection of underlying structures of power, and that therefore any inequality that emerges under such a system is a reflection, again, of that structure of power that used to be applied in sort of Marxist ways, the suggestion being that economic inequality was the result of misallocation of power in the structure preserved by.
Now, again, Marx is correct on his assessment of the problem. Economic problems are wholly a concern by the central bank. Now, his application of the solutions are a whole nother story.
An upper crust of people who wanted to cram down exploitation on people. That was sort of the Marxist version of postmodernism. And then it got transmuted into sort of a racial version of.
You see, he says racial.
Postmodernism, in which the systems of the United States are white supremacist in orientation and are perpetuated by a group of people who are, in fact, in favor of the preservation of white power and white supremacy. That is the generalized theory of critical race theory, as proposed by, for example, Gene Stefanchik and Richard Delgado in their book on critical race theory. That has taken a softer form that we refer to as DEI. The key in DEI is the E, meaning equity. So equity is a term that does not mean equality. People mix it up. Equality is the idea that we all ought to have equal rights, that we all ought to be treated equally by the law. Equity is the idea that if there is an inequality that emerges from any system, it is therefore due to discrimination. And the best way to tell whether somebody has been victimized is by dint of their race. And we can tell whether you're a member of an oppressed group or an oppressor group by the intersectional identity that you carry and by the nature of your group's success or failure predominantly along economic and power lines in American life. This means that if one group is predominantly successful economically, they must be a member of the victimizing class. And the only corrective for that would be, as Ibram X. Kendi likes to suggest, effectively answer.
You see how he deflects to the race hustlers? Like, race hustlers are always going to deflect to their counterpart. So if you're a right-wing race hustler, you'll deflect to or defect to Ibram X. Kendi. How many times have I even mentioned the name Ibram X. Kendi on this channel? He's irrelevant. Like, he has no pull in the community. You ask your average nigga in the streets who Ibram X. Kendi, they don't know who he is. That's like a internet thing.
Anti-racist policy is racism in the service of destroying racism. That you're going to have.
So again, DEI in his mind is about racism. He doesn't see what's actually going on out here.
That you're going to have to, discriminate on the basis of race in order to correct for discrimination that's baked into the system. That's incredibly dangerous. It leads to a victim.
So he's telling you one version of DEI. Meanwhile, when you go watch the Virgin Atlantic video, they're showing you another version of DEI, which has nothing to do with race. Has everything to do with gender ideology. But race hustlers got a race hustler. Race hustlers got a race hustle.
Victimizer narrative that is unhealthy for individuals and terrible for societies. It relieves people of individual responsibility, and it destroys the very notion of an objective metric by which we can decide meritocracy. And meritocracy is the only system human beings have ever devised that has positive externalities in literally any area of life. Every other distribution of wealth, power, done along other lines that is not having to do with merit has negative externalities. Every system having to do with merit has positive externalities because presumably the most effective and useful people are going to succeed under those systems. That's the very basis of a meritocracy. And the externalities of that mean that other people benefit from the meritorious and excellent performance of those people.
Maybe it would be good to get your comment.
So he goes into the concept of wokeism, defines it, and not once does he mention gender ideology. Not once. Meanwhile, DEI is all about gender ideology and not about being black.
I wish all the black people were as smart as Hotep Jesus. And I wish all the white people were as smart as Hotep Jesus. And I wish all the Hispanics were as smart as Hotep Jesus. Because that guy, he really gets it. He knows how to boil it down.
Terrible.
Your old stomping ground, Harvard. Do you think the president of Harvard should have been fired?
I mean, I think.
What do you say, baby? I'm streaming right now. I'm streaming, okay? You got to be quiet, okay, baby? Okay.
She should have been fired not over the plagiarism allegations. I think she should have been fired based on her performance just at that.
So then we defer to Claudine Gay and the plagiarism. Harvard plagiarism. So still on this show, we race hustling. Meanwhile, DEI is about gender ideology.
Congressional hearing. And
this is why I can't watch these debates, because I don't learn nothing. I have to do more teaching than I do learning. That's why I can't watch these debates and these shows from these pseudo intellectuals, because all they doing is preaching false doctrine.
The word black had been substituted for Jew in that statement by Elise Stefanik that she was asking about, or trans, or literally any other minority in America, maybe with the exception of Asian, then the answer would have been very different coming from Cloudy and Gay. You know, with that said, I don't think the firing of Cloudy and Gay really accomplishes very much. Meaning, did she get what she deserved? Sure. Does that mean that the underlying DEI equity-based system has been in any way severely damaged? No, I think that this is a way for universities, it's true for Liz McGill at Penn also, to basically throw somebody overboard as the sacrifice to maintain the underlying system that continues to predominate at American universities, where they spend literally billions of dollars every year on DEI initiatives and diversity hires and diversity administrators and all of this. I mean, one of the costs of education escalating is in the massive administrative function that is now undertaken by universities, as opposed to teaching and cost of dorms and such.
You guys probably agree on a lot of this, right?
Kind of, maybe, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what makes things do this, but it feels like we can never like have a good thing and then have it end as a good thing. Mm-hmm. Things always get taken to their extreme, and then we have to fight on those extremes. Like, I would argue that back in my day, we called it SJW, social justice warriors, before it became woke. And it's like 2013 onwards, whatever. Like, there are aspects to wokeism that I think are good. Like, I like the additional representation that we have in media now. I like how, as much as people complain about the internet and how it's regulated, that there are way more groups that are represented on the internet, whether we're talking X, the platform formerly known as Twitter or Facebook or whatever. I think in some ways, or whether we're pushing, like women's achievements in school and in the wider workforce, I think that these are all good things.
See, you heard what he said? He said women. Now, Destiny's on the left. He said women. He ain't mentioned black people. He said women.
The issue that you run into is people don't ever have a stopping point. And I think people kind of get lost in this woke for woke's sake thing, where we start to see these very weird warpings of these like academic, I guess, arguments that are used for really horrible things. So, for instance, I think that you can talk about in the United States things like white supremacy or things like oppression of certain demographics, especially with like Jim Crow laws and pre-Jim Crow. And you can even talk about effects from that. But then when you run into this weird world where we've kind of warped these things so that like not only is white supremacy still as present today as it ever has been, well, actually, black people and other minorities can't even be racist. They don't have the power to, because we're going to use a different definition of racism. And we can only talk about punching up as opposed to punching down. And then we're actually going to say it's totally okay for these people to say or do whatever they want, and it's never bad. But like white people who have always been the oppressors, even if you're like a trailer park guy whose family's addicted to meth, you have all this privilege, et cetera, et cetera. I think that you run into these issues where wokeism, it starts off as like a really good idea, and I would argue has achieved really good things, especially in regards to like women's education and everything. And then
you heard what he said. It's achieved a lot, especially in regard to women's education. He's mentioned women twice. Ben's race hustling, and Destiny's telling you the truth. Lil D, that's what we're going to call him, Lil D. Lil D, pause, is talking about women. He mentioned it twice. It's about gender ideology. DEI is about gender ideology. It has nothing to do with black people. We are the scapegoats. Every time white people find something to argue about, they got to throw niggas in the mix. Let's find a way to blame this on Blackie. Can y'all argue amongst yourselves and leave black people out of this? That's all I ask. Argue about your little gay shit and your women and your feminism, all that shit, and leave us out of it. If the left don't throw us in it, the right gonna throw us in it. So Destiny don't throw black people in it, but Ben Shapiro does. This shit is crazy, bro.
It just gets so academia-ized, so there's a word there, academic, whatever, where you take something and you put it into school too much and then it comes out as some Frankenstein, cancer baby of like horrible things, such that today when I'm reading stuff, and I know Ben is the same way, like if I even hear somebody say the word like anti-racism, I'm probably ignoring every other thing you have to say. If you utter the word like colonial anything, I'm probably going to say you probably don't have anything good to say. A lot of it is just taken way too far. But you know what I will blame on some of this is
That's an example of the base left right there.
Will blame conservatives for some of this, because I think one issue that happens.
Talk your shit, Lil D.
And I think Ben might even agree with me here too, is I think there's two huge problems that have happened in the United States, I think broadly speaking, is that one, we become more different than we ever have been, and two, we become more similar than we ever have been. And when I say this, what I mean is that like we're splitting off into these groups, and then these groups are enforcing this insane homogeneity between these two separate groups. And I think one of these schisms has been conservatives' reluctancy to participate in things related to higher education. So for a long time, conservatives are saying like, oh, you know, the educational institutions are against us. You know, Rush Limbaugh talks about how evil the colleges are and blah, blah, blah. And then what happens is conservatives are less and less willing to engage in them. So then you get this scenario or this environment where everybody that's engaged in academia on the administrative side are fucking insane. they're like even more so to, and I also want to draw a distinction between like the administrators and the faculty, because oftentimes when you're reading story after story after story of like all of these insane admins that are pushing further and further left, usually the faculty is fighting against it. A lot of the tenured professors, a lot of people in their departments are saying like, hold on, well, we actually don't agree with this. But I feel like because conservatives for so long have demonized these institutions rather than like
base left, conservatives don't participate, they just complain.
Critically evaluated them and tried to like have like honest critique and engagement, that they've just like completely broken off. And when you only have a bunch of lefties or righties together, all they'll do is they'll veer off like even more into their insane directions. I feel like that's a big problem that we've run into in the country, to where conservatives have totally broken off some conversations, broken away from, where they won't participate in them anymore. And then the people that you have left just run as far to the left as possible.
Well, certainly when you look at certain institutions, I think that one of the things that people on both sides of the aisle are constantly looking at is, has the institution suffered such capture that there is just no...
All right, let's go to the next thing. We got more examples. If we still have time, we'll revisit this. But my point has been made. Ben Shapiro is getting his ass handed to him by Lil D. Lil D is winning this debate so far, if you ask me. At least that portion. The wokeism portion, Lil D won it. And I'm saying that because... Lil Ben and Lil D, because Lil Ben is wrong about wokeism and Lil D is right. He's absolutely right about what's going on with wokeism. Let's go here. This clip we've been postponing for some time now, but today is all about the base left. Let's see what's going on in the base left. We have Charlemagne.
I have the privilege, man, of, doing morning radio and speaking to, working class people every single day. I have the privilege of, being involved in my community from, New York to New Jersey to South Carolina, where I get to look people in the eyes and have, real conversations, with them.
And you know what you did with that last election, Charlemagne? You and your team, maybe your higher-ups, your handlers, I'm not sure who did this, Charlemagne, but you had a complete media blackout on real black conservative voices. You didn't have the real people up. You didn't have Sonny Johnson up there. You didn't have Hotep Jesus up there. There's a bunch of voices you did not have up there, real conservative black voices. You didn't have a second opinion on the jab. You didn't have a second opinion on the White House. Now, what do you have to say for yourself?
And, people are really concerned about this issue. Like I honestly have never.
And you know what? I'm not even mad at Charlemagne because I know the game he's playing, right? And the game he's playing is basically, it's a selfish game, right? It's basically saying, I'm putting myself above all of this shit. And I never fault anybody really for doing that. I'm going to call it out, but I never really fault anybody for doing it. And basically what he's saying is he knew Biden was not the right option. However, he also knew that his popularity would diminish if he told people the truth. He might have been fired. He might lose sponsorships. And he's basically saying, look, I'm going to go along with the narrative because that's what people need to hear. Now it's safe to talk about Trump. Now I'll come out because of the timing, But again, just thinking about himself. And I'm not mad at that. Like I said, I'm not mad at him because I know the game he's playing.
Never spoken to as many people who are concerned about the migrant issue.
I just prefer not to get my power like that. I prefer to take like a longer period of trajectory and never have to placate to someone else's agenda than take these shortcuts and be silenced and go along with concepts and ideas that kill people.
Issue as I have, you know, over the past year. And I mean, I've heard everything from, you know, the gang MS-13, you know, overrunning neighborhoods. I've heard, you know, what we saw just happen in New York City, where the migrants, they took 2,000 migrants and put them in the school and made the school stay home, made the students stay home. And
when Trump campaigned, y'all called him xenophobic. Let's see if we can find that. Racism, bigotry, and fascism. Let me see if we can find. Let me fix this so you guys can see me searching. I'm sorry. Racist. I remember I learned this word xenophobic. From, I believe it was Ice-T's book. Yeah, see here. No, that's the King, Charlemagne. Let me try. Systemic racism. Like you could put together a whole documentary on the before and now, just of Charlemagne's coverage of Trump. Probably put together a nice 15-minute clip. Anyway, let's go back. I'm not going to sit out here waiting all day trying to look for this.
You know, do school via Zoom, and that was a big issue. Like, I mean, people were calling the radio station. That was just this week. You know, really complaining about that. So I've never seen, you know, working class people who I interact with every day until this past year really express their frustration for the migrants. And it's not even just the people. Like, you see politicians who once, you know, championed having the migrants in the city, like the mayor Eric Adams of New York. Now they're like, yo, hold up. This is too much. You know, we've heard Vice President Kamala Harris say, hey, don't come. Like, we've seen that. So yeah, I think it's going to be a real, you know, real big issue. And, you know, something like immigration will never be resolved because of the filibuster. Like, the only things that pass are issues where they remove the filibuster. So you would need Republicans and Democrats to come together and create some comprehensive immigration reform. But, you know, for whatever reason, they don't seem to be able to do that. Of course, he's the president of the United States of America. If he can take credit for the good things that happen in this country, he has to take credit for the bad as well, because those things happen on his watch, you know. And I'm telling you, people are going to go to those sound bites, and they're going to go to those sound bites where they saw, you know, the President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris and Mayor Eric Adams and all of these other, you know, liberals and Democrats. They're going to go to those sound bites of them welcoming them into sanctuary cities. And I mean, you know, when Ron DeSantis and Greg Abbott pulled that stunt where they were, you know, shipping migrants to these sanctuary cities, you know, dropping them off, you know, right in front of, you know, the vice president's house. You know, as cruel as that was, as inhumane as that was, it was effective. Clearly it was effective, you know, because it made a lot of those Democrats start singing a different tune. And I mean, the voters see that, you know, the voters see that. And so what does that look like to the voter? Just on the surface, it looks like Republicans were right about the issue and Democrats got it wrong. And now a lot of Democrats.
So basically, Hotep's been told you.
Democrats are starting to sound like the Republicans sounded. So it makes a lot of people say, well, damn.
What'd he say?
Democrats are starting to sound like the Republicans sounded. So about the issue, and Democrats got it wrong. And now a lot of Democrats are starting to sound like got it wrong. And now Democrats are starting to sound like the Republicans sound. Democrats are starting to sound like the Republicans. The Democrats are starting to sound like the Republicans sounded.
Base left.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
Base left.
So it makes a lot of people say, well, damn, Republicans were actually right on that issue. Just on the surface, just plain on the surface, that's how it looks, you know, to the average voter.
But the grift was too hard to turn down. And you know, the thing is about Charlemagne is he could have come out and shown support for Trump and still kept his job, kept his sponsors, kept his popularity. It's just that it would have taken too much work because you have to be clever about how you deal with what's politically correct and what's not politically correct. It takes some finessing. And frankly, he was just too lazy. He was just too lazy. As some of you already know, Davos said Trump is the president, right? That's what, according to George Soros' son, Alexander Soros, Baby Soros said in Davos, Trump is already president. And then he goes on to say that Davos is usually wrong, so that's a good thing, so Trump won't be president. So he's trying to play like a little mind game there on people. But Davos has said that Trump will be president. Let's go to the next clip. We got a couple of clips here. Hold on. I'm going to save that one. I want to go right here. I want to show you this video. Let's go right here. We're making good time today, too. If you want to get on the phone lines, text Hotep in your name at 202-596-5631. 202-596-5631. The caption on this video says, I am a black woman in America. You calling me an anti-Semite, it don't hit. It just don't fucking hit. Now, again, when we're talking about DEI, look at her shirt. You'll see, let me make it bigger for you. Pause. Her shirt here, you'll see it has the revolutionary fist and the rainbow colors, because you can't even be pro-black and not be pro-rainbow now. And that's why I said the rainbow ideology has taken the place of race ideology on the left. They've completely replaced the concept of black power, Black Lives Matter with, well, none of that matters unless you support and affirm the gender ideology, right? So there's a hierarchy to it. So what many of the university educated black females will say is you can't be pro-black unless you're pro-rainbow, which means that there's a hierarchy, which means first and foremost comes the rainbow, then blackness. Let's go to the tape, which goes back to what DEI is. DEI, same thing. Do you pass the gender ideology test? Okay, if you pass that, now we'll recognize your race. But first and foremost, you know, you got to be ready to wear a dress, black man.
I'm a black woman in America. Calling me an anti-Semite, it don't fucking hit. It does not hit. Young.
Another example of the base left. Shout out to Goldstein. Shout out to Goldstein for coining the term base left. Always give credit where credit's due.
Try it if you want to, but it doesn't hit. Because if you can look at my face, look me dead ass in my motherfucking eyes.
And this is what I was saying to Goldstein yesterday when he brought up the base left. I said, the base left is kind of always going to be a thing, right? Like, basically what Goldstein did was he gave it a name. But the left is so intersectioned, it's so divided that at some point groups are going to clash. Like, there's just so much hypocrisy that at some point that hypocrisy is going to create clashes between the groups. And that's what we're seeing here.
And look past all the fucking parallels between what this country has done to my people. Mine. You don't see the parallels between what this country and Israel is doing.
Hold on, I got to get this tweet off. Sorry.
To the people of Gaza, Congo, Sudan, if you can look at my face and look past my history, and what you arrive at is anti-Semite, then I guess you reached your motherfucking destination. I guess you did. Because I don't give a fuck what you call me.
Damn.
Free Palestine until it's motherfucking backwards. Says this black woman in America. Yeah.
So this is that the intersection of, I just mentioned being precise, so let's be precise. This is the intersection of black struggle and Palestinian struggle. Within the Palestinian struggle, black, what do we call them? SJWs is a fairly decent term. Black SJWs in that see themselves. They also see it as a new thing to care about, which then becomes a grift, a trend, the latest new toy. Now, I don't understand this lady's intentions. She may or may not be grifting. She's opened up the camera, so by default, she's grifting. But she may not be a malicious grifter. But what I do understand is that her mind is colonized. You care about the Palestinian people, which you probably should not. As a humanitarian, I can understand, right? Like somebody says, I don't want people to die and, I want the best for people. I can understand from a humanitarian standpoint. But did you talk about Palestine 10 years ago, 20 years ago? Because this war in Palestine has been going on since Jesus was a baby, And it's like, so you just picked this thing up because you just found out about it, right? Anyway, let's get to the real meat of the matter. Pause. Jews and anti-Semitism. We know that. Actually, let's pull this up. Let's go straight here. Hold on. Let's go to Linda Yacharino, and we'll show you racial DEI. Right. So right here, you see. He says here, our mandated X is clear. We must protect free speech, safeguard information independence while tackling anti-Semitism and hate speech, right? This is DEI. This is what you call the woke right. Like Ben Shapiro supporting things like this is a woke right because they're basically making special treatment for the Jews. It just is what it is, right? Whether you agree or not, they're making special rules for the Jews. Now, if this would have said black people, the right would have lost their mind. Now, there are some people on the right that are pushing back against this, right? You got your white identitarians here, like Andrew Torba and Jake Shields, who I much prefer over the Ben Shapiro types, especially Andrew Torba because he actually is building something. The libertarians you'll see pushing against this as well, because the libertarians are very much, cut down the middle. So there's going to be some pushback on this, right? But my issue is Ben Shapiro, Lil Ben, right? Lil Ben going to talk all this DEI, but when it comes to his people, DEI is okay. This is the hypocrisy of the matter. This is why intersectionality leads to hypocrisy, or hypocrisy leads to conflicts between intersections. Okay? So, where was I going with this? Hold on. We had the black. Oh, okay. So, when you deal in black people and Jews, it's much different conversation because we go, oh, they had a struggle? Yeah, I had one too. Big whoop. And so to black people, it's like a net zero. It's just a net zero. They just cancel each other out. You can't call me anti-Semitic and I can't call you racist because we both had a severe struggle. You know what I'm saying? Only difference is Jews are higher on the food chain than black people are, right? For whatever reason that may be. Their ability to cloak themselves amongst the Yamnaya tribe, the corded ware tribe, et cetera, right? Their affinity to banking and academia and media is going to propel them to the top. Whereas whites have, or the Yamnaya tribe have chosen other means of, let's call it entertainment. Let's call it culture. Okay. So Linda Yaccarino, free speech, especially for Jews. Black people are like, you can't call me anti-Semite because, the other thing is they're going to say we're the original anti-Semites and right? Let's go to the next video. Hold on. Let me check on the chat too. Hold on. Let me see what the chat is talking about. She works in a hospital. I don't think these people understand how much money their orgs got from Jewish orgs and how much that's going to hurt them if they bite the hand. And that's the thing. Like, you can't just say the Jews, because you got some Jews who do good things and you got some that do bad things. But Jews push everything. Like everything. That's why I say you can't decouple the United States from Israel, because without Jews, you don't have Europe. Everything that's good or bad has come from Jews. The majority, like when white people take, credit for the society they've created, they've got to give that credit partially to Jews. Jews created the modern financial banking system. Jews created academia. Jews have pushed forward in as far as pharmaceuticals and medicine. Pushed as far as law is concerned, both on the good and bad side. When you think about who exposed, like, so for example, they say Jews run the banking industry, right? Okay, cool. Let's say that's true. Well, who exposed the banking industry? A Jew. A Jew. Murray Rothbard literally made a career off of exposing the banking industry. I mean, wrote just great volumes of work from Murray Rothbard. So you can't throw the baby away with the bathwater, because then you'd be left with nothing, which may be good. I don't know. Anyway, let's go to the next tape. Another example of base left. Uncle Hotep posted this. Let's go to the tape. This is from a Twitter space in regard to Palestinian children. What do you got to say here? Disclaimer. This is going to be pretty graphic, so listen.
And what I'm saying is, if a 5-year-old is in that building and there's some terrorists in that building, goodbye a 5-year-old. That's what I'm saying.
I got to say, I don't agree with anything this dude is about to say. However, it is highly based and entertaining.
Goodbye 5-year-old. All right. So, they can breed more. That's what I'm saying. If they're in the building with terrorists, okay, most likely they are going to be future terrorists. That is terrorist junior and terrorist senior, or terrorist the third sitting in that motherfucking building. They are all going to meet their maker. Period. Point motherfucking blank. So you can say all that bullshit you talking right there. That sounds all good and rosy and shit. I'm liberal as hell, but I ain't getting that damn liberal.
You heard what he said? I'm liberal as hell, but I ain't that damn liberal. This episode is called The Base Left. And that's why I was saying to Goldstein yesterday, like, it comes to a certain point where on certain issues, people are going to fray. They're going to go their own way. Okay. And that's why we really got to drop calling ourselves these things like liberal, because with liberal means you support certain things. And if you're conservative means you support, you got to drop all of that shit, man. Let's just go issue by issue.
If we're, Rob said something the other night about, I think it was people in the street, was it Hamas people protest? What was it, Rob? You said they were out on the road. You saw them out on the road. There was like, what, 1,000 of them? What was it, Rob? Marching down the road.
You are living, breathing black terrorists.
No, is Rob still here? Oh, Rob's gone. Okay. Well, like I said, man, take them the hell out. You're playing games here. I don't give a fuck if there's like 6 kids in that house and 2 motherfucking terrorists. Okay? Is that if those terrorists are high level enough, goodbye to terrorists. That's what it is. I'm not killing kids. I'm killing collateral damage. Okay? And I'm not advocating for killing kids. I love kids. I love children. I cry for children. But there's a greater good. All right? I'm not going to let those people go out and kill a whole bunch of other people because we're like, let's think about the kids and their dreams. Fuck their dreams. Let's think about the nightmares, okay, that they're going to cause those families, okay? We're going to cause those families by not eradicating the fucking problem. Matter of fact, the only thing we're doing is we're not just fucking cutting the weed, we're fucking pulling it from the root, all right? Because that whole fucking stem, that whole fucking weed, okay, will not ever grow again because the root went down with the fucking weed itself. That's where I'm at. I yield.
That is
the base left. Again, the black man saving America, one word at a time. I wish they had the longer clip, because I don't even know how the white people in here want to respond to that. I don't even know how these women, these people in this chat respond to that, but I would love to hear how they responded. That would be hilarious. This Laura Luma in a Negro's body said this dude sound like AJ. Listen, I ain't saying I agree, but I ain't saying I agree, but let freedom ring. If you know what I mean. Robert Jones said, I haven't heard many people talk about the Boeing door plugs being purchased from a company that skipped on many safety QA checks. Really? Yeah, I've seen people argue about a bunch of different things online. Candace Owens is like, I'm doing some investigative journalism on, is Nikki Haley black or not? Here it is right here. I'm going to show y'all this. Just a, couple of remnants. Today on the show, I investigate Nikki Haley's claim that she suffered Jim Crow-like segregation at a beauty pageant in her youth because she was brown. And I respond to that by saying, the hard-hitting investigative journalism. Like, this is what we do in our time. The other thing people are occupying themselves with is Fannie Willis. She was banging a prosecutor in the Trump case. Just absolutely messy. Anyway, let's go to something more edifying than these topics. Shout out to Oklahoma. Oklahoma is set to remove the CBDC from the definition of money. That bill will be updated in my locals, hotepjesus.locals.com. And the Bank of International Settlements is moving forward with Project Aurum. Let's go ahead and look up Project Aurum. Hold on. And it says here, they're working on privacy for retail payments, right? So the question is, the question you always have to ask with privacy on a CBDC is who can see, right? Because they'll say privacy meaning I can't see, Goldstein's transactions, or I can't see Strong Dad's transactions, and Strong Dad can't see mine, but the Federal Reserve can, right? The central bank can. So it says Project Aurum is the first prototype of a central bank digital currency to reach its final stage. Okay, it's according to Google. I don't know if that's correct or not. It says its unique features condense the retail and wholesale CBDCs with e-wallets and incorporate both
the directly intermediated tokens and stablecoins backed by WCBDCs issued by commercial banks. So basically, this is WorldCoin. And you see right here, one of the questions that pops up with this is the world going to digital currency? But this project Aurum situation is, let me see if we can get some more details here. Yeah, Hong Kong is involved in this. Yeah, that wholesale. You know, for me, it's like, how does the Bank of International Settlement stay relevant and basically being an intermediary between central banks is what it looks like here. And that one is called Project Aurum. We'll have to dive into it a little bit more when I get the interest, but I've done so much CBDC digging that I pretty much know what's happening. And if I dig any further, all I'm going to do is affirm biases. Anyway, let's go to the phone lines. Text Hotep in your name to 202-596-5631. Text Hotep in your name to 202-596-5631. And we'll be right back after this short, brief commercial break.
Yeah, I can try to get that handled for you. Again, it's only my second day, so if you can give me a second. How am I supposed to do this? How the hell are we supposed to do this by 5 o'clock?
I have no clue.
Is that possible? Hey, do you have the password to... How'd you finish all your work already?
He's not tapped in. How'd you get that done so quick?
They think they're gonna be able to budget that?
It's money. That's money right there, you understand? You guys finished your work 6 hours early?
He's not tapped in.
Goldstein on the check-in. Goldstein, what's good, bro?
What's happening?
What's happening with him? What you got for us today, bro?
It's a nice breakdown right there.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're on the beginning of this shit. Like, the grifters are slowly moving into this new real estate. You know what I mean?
What's the new real estate?
This base left shit.
Oh, yeah.
So most of these things begin organically, as you know.
Right.
And then here come the vultures.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, though, you can kind of see developing patterns, and it's just like, this can't be organic. This is evidence of a guiding hand.
Mm-hmm.
One of them old presidents said that shit. It said, similarity in the details is evidence of a guiding hand, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So then you see, like, what really triggered the woke right? What really kicked it off? Because there had been elements of it, you know, and then people started to grift off of it. But what really triggered the woke right as we see it today, which is basically a tool by the establishment, and I'm talking about the Biden establishment, I'm talking about the establishment, a tool that they will ultimately utilize to beat us over the fucking head with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I say base left, I mean that same version, a tool that they will ultimately beat us in the head with. So when you look back at what really radicalized and really activated the woke right, it was Donald Trump losing.
Yeah.
You know,
and
then
Jan
from
6.
that point,
and the Jan 6, the Jan 6 hearings thereafter.
Right.
Yeah.
All these things tended to exacerbate the fire that they lit.
Right.
So, you know, I could easily see a similarity in DeSantis getting his hat handed to him to radicalize a base left.
You said DeSantis to radicalize a base left?
Yeah, to get them active the same way Trump got the woke right active.
Mm.
they've already set DeSantis up to be somewhat of an antithesis towards Trump to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
So you're either for Trump or for DeSantis, but you can't be in the middle there. You can't be someone who's going to avoid that firefight if you subscribe to either one of those people's
like a moderate or a
campaign.
libertarian.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Him getting his hat handed to him, a lot of fucking people who were going for him based on an article that was sent to me by someone on Twitter, I forget his name, but he sent an article. Most people who were going for DeSantis were disenfranchised Democrats.
Okay.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
They were disenfranchised Democrats who had it with the fucking crazy ass left.
Yep.
But was nowhere near fucking with Trump. So they opted for DeSantis. And now all of them feel really dejected. A good portion of them being Democrats again, or the left. So therein lies the same catalyst that could radicalize a group, a based left.
Mm.
Now, I don't know if he'll ultimately be the one.
I think Nikki might be one of them.
She may be one of them. It may be a series of individuals, because this goes back all the way to the Bernie people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When they got their hats handed to them, they became bitter. A lot of those Bernie people became DeSantis people.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're even more bitter. And a lot of them will opt for Nikki maybe. When she loses, ultimately even more bitter. But that bitterness is what's going to breed radicalization. And once they are radicalized to a certain degree, this new base left, they will be a tool that will be used to bludgeon the rest of us.
Mm.
And I don't know if that's a good thing, because they do tend to have some viewpoints that are based, that are healthy and good. But ultimately, all of that shit becomes corrupted. So my advice to everyone listening is keep your eyes on it. Don't try and get in it. Right? Because that's when you get lost. Keep your eyes on it. Fuck getting in it. Now, if they are saying shit that you think is cool, great. Just like with the right. If they say shit that's cool, great. But stay out of it. Keep your eyes on it. Always be watching it, because these are not organic. These movements and shit are not organic. Sometimes you got to find out exactly who's moving the pieces in order to really put your all into some shit, because then you'll fuck around and find out that it was Klaus Schwab the whole time.
On either side.
On either side.
Yep.
And I don't mean literally Klaus Schwab, because I think he's just another piece. I think that dude is a motherfucker who's just been set up as this
as a fall
TV
guy.
villain.
Yeah, if you know their names, they're the fall guy.
Right.
They're worker bees.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, just watch this. Oh, go ahead.
No, I mean, branching off the whole Klaus Schwab and, him being a worker bee and all of that, and I always bring this up, Carol, quickly, right? Balance of power. Both sides are co-opted. Both sides are controlled. But like you said, you got to be very careful when trends come about, because you get caught in those trends. And when you get caught in those trends, you start pushing agendas and you don't even know it. And that's why I had that approach with Israel and Palestine, where it was, I'm going to give you some details about what's happening, but I'm not choosing sides, because no matter what side you're on, either you're going to be on the side of a radical Islamic terrorist group, or you're going to be on the side of a Zionist terrorist group. It's like, which terrorist are you picking? And if somebody, put a gun in my head and said, pick one, I got to pick the Israel terrorist group, because that's the country I'm most closely aligned with based upon the designation of my passport. So I'm choosing the winning team. I'm choosing the home team. Why would I? And that's what's weird for me when I see Americans choose between terrorists. I'm like, you're going to pick the the away team is going to treat you much worse than these other motherfuckers.
True.
You know, but you got to be careful of these trends because then you get caught in these agendas.
That's right.
And even the arena of discourse, right? You'll get caught in the wrong arenas of discourse. This is why I always try to bring it back to CBDCs or central banking. Always try to bring that back here so we always stay grounded in that stuff and don't lose sight of that stuff, because you'll be so far down the rabbit hole of a Nothingburg Trump case or DEI that when that trend dies, it's like you're looking for the new trend and you've missed the other stuff going on in the background behind the scenes.
Right. Yeah, man. Hey, you seen what the fuck's happening with the Supreme Court decision?
About the border?
Yeah.
So that's another thing I watch people argue about. And I'm waiting on some information from from what's the name? Did he reply yet? Let me see here. I'm waiting on Reaction PR to give me his opinion on this, because when it comes to Supreme Court decisions, if the right is left, that means if the right is upset, either they're right or they're wrong. But from what I'm seeing, it's more nuanced than that. It's more nuanced than, them saying, you can have the removal. We're going to remove these fences or whatever, right? It's something to this story that is not so black and white. You can't just say the Supreme Court made the wrong decision. That's my hunch. Now, I haven't dove into it, but usually my hunch is correct, that I'm like, you know what? From a Supreme Court standpoint, they may have made the right decision. And people just don't understand that. They just look at it as, oh, they're siding with the migrants. And I'm like, well, if we really dive into the details of this decision, we might find that the Supreme Court is just saying this is none of our business. You know what I'm saying? Right. That may have been the conclusion of the Supreme Court, but I haven't had time to look into it, and I really don't care to look into it. That's why I said I'm just waiting on my expert to hit me back, and whatever he says it is, then that just is what it is. But my hunch says it's not as black and white as what people are making it seem.
Yeah, it seemed kind of odd that basically a Trump-appointed Supreme Court would do this.
Right.
But then I got to thinking about some shit. Like, what if this is, I don't know, some type of, most of us, and I tweeted this yesterday, but most of us are expecting a ramping up, as it were, of Civil War type shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what if that's not the play at all? What if Civil War is not the play at all? What if they're doing this type of shit? Because follow me on this logic real quick. I'll make it brief.
I already agree. Keep going.
So we get this tension between the Texas National Guard and the federal Border Patrol, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's tension between state and federal.
Right.
And a lot of people are saying this could be a catalyst. This could be our Fort Sumter moment, whatever the fucking case may be, right?
Yeah.
But Border Patrol, state employees, they're not going to, and they're not even trained to or expected to engage with the National Guard. So if the National Guard says, don't touch that fucking fence, the Border Patrol is not going to touch the fucking fence. You're not going to see, even if they get mandated to, most of them will be like, I'm just going to go home because I'm not doing this, right? So then that would mean if the shit is to get pressed by Biden, like if he was really going to press the issue, then he would have to ultimately use the military. You know, he could federalize the National Guard, but it just really depends on how hard they're going to dig their heels in on whether or not they're going to obey that order. But you could easily see this degrading to the to the point where Biden tells the military to go do this thing down there, go enforce this order down there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the military takes that opportunity to kick his motherfucking ass the fuck up out of that White House. Stage an entire military coup. Right? And then they hold on to the reins of power until whoever wins the election wins the election.
Yeah.
Then they hand that back over to that person. And this serves a different, like a number of different things that we all expect them to do anyway, which is A, get rid of Biden. B, have the ability to replace him on the ticket. Right? And then C, keep this motherfucking country locked down until after the election. Which is all shit we expect them to do, just in different forms. We expect them to get rid of Biden because of, you know, a number of different things. Maybe he just steps down. We expect them to put somebody in his place on the ticket, and we expect them to lock this bitch down. But we're all thinking pandemic. But this is just as good of a way to do it than a pandemic would be, and it has more teeth than a pandemic lockdown would. Because this is a military lockdown. You know, then they can keep it in the guise of, well, because you know a lot of people are going to be upset if they force Biden out. So they're going to keep this under the guise of, well, you know, we got to keep the nation civil. You know, there's a lot of people upset that Biden got pushed out. They're going to be wanting to look to buck at the polls. You got a lot of people who on the right are going to be looking to just fuck shit up if anybody does seem like they want to buck and make this election shitty for Trump again. And a number of things are accomplished by this. So I don't know. I could easily see whoever's controlling the government through Biden guiding him that direction just to get his ass kicked the fuck up out of there.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fucking galaxy brain take, but it's not unprecedented, right? Like we've seen military coups. I'm looking up one right now. I believe this was called the Freikorps. I'll put this on the screen right now. This is Germany, and it was very interesting because whoever had the support of the Freikorps had tons of support. I mean, basically, whoever has the guns wins, right? So if there was anybody who could overthrow a government, it would have to be the military, right?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, just us people, it's just not humanly possible. You would need some help from the Freikorps.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems odd to me that there's some weird shit going on here. Maybe it's like you said. Maybe it's just one of them weird decisions that the Supreme Court makes that we don't quite understand because we're not legals. You know, but just something seems off about this whole shit. And I could easily, like I said, see them using this as a reason to fucking stage a coup against Biden.
Could be. So check this out. Post-World War I, this is the part I believe I was looking for. And it says here, amongst the social and political and economic upheavals that marked the early years of the Weimar Republic, the tenuous German government under Friedrich Ebert, leader of the Social Democratic Party of Germany, utilized the Freikorps to quell socialist and communist uprisings. Minister of Defense and SPD member Gustav Noske also relied on the Freikorps to suppress the Marxist Spartacist uprising. That's the one I was trying to think of. The Marxist Spartacist uprising, culminating in the summary of executions of revolutionary leaders, Karl Liebknecht, and Rosa Luxemburg. This is January 1919. And I showed you guys this lecture on this. It's like some sort of university lecture where they talk about this. I listened to it at least 100 times. And but it's the Freikorps. So if anything, political were to happen in America, you would need something like a Fry Corps to, to do something. I'm waiting for, hold on a second. Can you call into the show? Let me see. I got Reaction PR. He just responded to my text message. 202 596 5631. All right, I'm gonna see if he can call in. You got anything else for us, Goldstein?
No, that's it, man.
All right, man. Keep your third eye open, man. It's getting ugly out here. It's fucking election season. It's grifting season.
Yes, sir. All right, man.
All right, Hotep and Bill. So we're gonna get Reaction PR on the line. I can't dox him and tell you what he is or what he does, but he's basically our border guy, and he's calling it straight down the middle. As far as what's really, and that's the thing. Like, I'm not trusting your local grifter to tell me about the border. I'm just not. I mean, most of them just want to go down there for pictures and shit like that, and be like, "Oh, look at the migrants," and it's just like, all right, can you give me something to sink my teeth into? So let's see what he's saying. This is Reaction PR. Okay, so here we go. So Colin Rugg here says the Supreme Court has ruled 5-4 that Border Patrol agents are allowed to remove razor wire installed by Texas, right? And then Reaction PR says it's an unpopular opinion, but they're right. The federal government is who has control of the border. They set the migration customs laws. They decide where the ports of entry are located and how many people enter every year. Vote accordingly. And that's the thing, right? Like, that's why I said there's some nuance to these conversations, because when you break federal code or you break the Constitution, you set a precedent. And everybody goes, oh, well, Texas should be. All right, so is Texas going to go to war with Mexico if some shit breaks off? Obviously not. Texas is going to be like, yo, federal government, can you help us out with the border? We have a real invasion, right? So the Supreme Court, I believe, probably made the right decision. This, like he says here, the federal government is the one who has, and he puts a little star there, control of the border. Right? But he texted me back. He might be busy at work fighting the border. Oh, he said he's ready. He said he's going to call in. So we're going to get Reaction PR to call in and give us his opinion. And then we're going to go to Rudy and Jonah. Who is this? I see why I don't argue with Fuller's adherents. I mean, he's talking about the MoFax debate. I know, ordinarily I don't argue with people like MoFax, but I got a YouTube channel, and the people need this. They want the content. They want to see the clash. They want to see the arguing. They want to see the heat. They want to see the sweat. They want to see the emotions. You got to give that to the people, man. They want to see that. They want that, But yeah, if MoFax were like a person in real life, I said this before. I said in real life, you can't get me to talk about this stuff. You'd have to pay me to talk about this stuff. I don't want to talk about. I wouldn't talk to somebody like MoFax about politics in real life. I really wouldn't. It's kind of pointless because they just kind of stuck in their ways. They don't listen. And it's just always whitey. So usually in real life, if I ran across somebody like MoFax, I'll just be like, oh, word? Really? Oh, okay. That's interesting. Cool. And I just leave it at that. I remember I had to do, we were in a gym and I saw this older brother and we dap each other up, older cat. And one day he just seemed upset. I said, what's wrong? What's wrong, OG? He like, that damn Trump. And I said to him, it's all right. He's not going to win the election anyway. And I said that because I just wanted him to feel better and get his workout in. Now, did I believe that? No, I'm over here Trump guy. I'm not going to tell this old head You know what? I'm a Trump guy. You have to know when people are trapped in a box, and nothing can pull them out. They have to pull themselves out of that. They got to pull themselves out. You know, don't act like Mo is all right. Don't act like he ain't. Oh, he's all right, but on the topic of white supremacy, he's fucking horrid. He's fucking horrid. To be honest with you. I disagree. When you see all of the lies Izzy is doing, it's hard to root for them. I don't even know what you're talking about. I just got here. I was trying to figure out why I couldn't use a new AI mastering feature in my DAW. Welcome. Retro Neon, thank you for the $5. He says, I agree. No one is truly liberal or conservative. Everybody might as well call themselves independents and stop being foolish. Also, I got my Apex in the house. It sent you the V-mail? What the hell? All right, I'm about to call him. It said it sent in the V-mail. Why? See, motherfuckers be playing games. Hold on, I'm going to call him. I don't know why I sent you the voicemail. I'm calling you now.
Yep.
Yo, Reaction PR.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good.
So, somebody asked about, the border situation with the Supreme Court. I pulled up your tweet here, as you can see on the screen, and you said it's an unpopular opinion, but the federal government is in control of the border. Now, all of the grifters are running around talking about, the Supreme Court did the wrong thing and all of this. They're just grifting, right? So, can you just weigh in on this and tell us the facts of the matter?
Well, the federal government is who is in control of immigration policy, immigration law. And the president is the one that is entrusted to enforce the immigration laws that are set forth by, Congress, the people that we sent up there. And with the Immigration and Naturalization Act, there are things that the president can do that might not seem logical or normal to people that are used to dealing with the criminal side of the law.
Okay.
Now, the people in charge of course, enforcing those laws is the federal government. Although Texas is part of the union, that part of the river, that border, it's in Texas, but it's not Texas.
It's in Texas, but it's not Texas.
Right.
Okay.
Because that border was negotiated. Any country in the world, their borders were either negotiated or they went to war. And, hey, you lost, this is my side now, and we're up to here, and we have an understanding that this is where I start and this is where you end. So the state can only go to here, this area.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
Now, the people crossing into the Texas, yes, they're crossing into Texas, but they're crossing not just into Texas, they're crossing into the United States.
Federal territory.
Correct.
Right.
So it is an unpopular decision, but he has the authority to say, or Texas doesn't have the authority in a way to say, well, we're just going to shut this down. And you can't cross through here. Because as much people were coming in, Texas was trying to funnel those people to the port of entry.
Okay.
But if there's so many people that are going to the port of entry, then they're going to say, well, I'm not going to go over there. There's too many people. I'm just going to go through here.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically what you're saying is there is a part of Texas that is Texas, but it's federal land.
Yeah, it's just like a national park.
Right.
it's federal property. Or when you go into federal parks, or if you go to the airport, well, yeah, the airport's in Miami, but it's federal jurisdiction, and it can be exclusive, it can be concurrent jurisdiction. So that's why when you act a fool in the airport, they got to be like, well, we're going to charge you federal with that, or a plane.
Right. So what are the tensions like at the border right now? People are saying civil war and all this other stuff. Does those claims of civil war have any merit?
Well, us going to war with Texas?
Yeah, I guess that's what they're saying.
No. I mean, what Texas can do is start going down the road of a secession if they really want to do it that way. That's something that's been, floated around for years. And Texas is one of the states that can say, hey, we out. Yeah. And they wouldn't be too impacted. California could be another one that they can say, hey, we just want to leave, and that's fine. But for it to go ahead.
But the concept of guns drawn and being discharged between Texas and the federal government is probability close to zero.
Right. You would need to, and then that will be handled individually if for whatever reason, because the Border Patrol guys and the Texas border, the National Guard, they're eating the shit sandwich.
Both of them.
Both of them, because the people that are telling them what to do are not the ones out there that are in the heat or are going to get shot at.
I got you.
So you got the border, you got the National Guard there, and you have the Border Patrol here, and they're going to be like, hey man, we got to take this down. And then I said, well, my guy said that we gotta keep it. I said, well, we got a court order over there, and then they're going to tell the soldiers, well, we can't let you take it out. That's what our governor said. And it's like, well, you guys got guns, and we got guns, and we got more people coming. All right, so we're going to leave, and you guys are going to stay here? Yeah, all right. Well, we're going to go back, and we're going to tell our people, and then the people over there are going to talk to your people, and you're not going to shoot me, and I'm not going to shoot you. And I said, that's fine. Now, you always have this one thing it's called a tactical private. Right?
A what? A tactical what?
The tactical private.
Okay.
Which is it's the lowest person in the totem pole that can do something that will drastically change everything.
Here's
what I found. So, for example, remember Abu Ghraib, right? The prison in Iraq? Right. So all those guys that were running everything got exposed because one person who was, quote unquote, the tactical private, took pictures of them, walking the prisoners around and doing all this other stuff and shared them. And then everything blew up. So if there is somebody down there that is the quote unquote tactical private, or like the one idiot guy that decides to be like, well, I was ordered by blah, 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 and we're taking this. And then he goes over there, starts grabbing the wire, and you have another idiot on the other side, and they end up fighting, and then that could escalate. But if the president could, although this is heading into, when you're going out there in the weeds here, the president could just say, in order to enforce federal law, the president could say, well, you know what? I'm nationalizing the Texas National Guard, federalizing it. They're under my control now. Because why? Why are you taking the Guard away from Texas? Well, there is an emergency, and federal laws are not being followed, so now they belong to me. Now they're going to enforce what I want them to enforce. And then you go back and forth. So You know, it's interesting. It's nice to see how the separation of powers and states' rights versus federal government is being played out.
Right.
I see it as a generations of Americans are now seeing actually how the system works and doesn't work. Everybody's going through an education, and because there's a lot of ignorance about things that are going on. Like you said, the grifters are going to go out there and they're going to do their thing. But find somebody you trust, educate yourself as well. Look into the Constitution and or the federal code of federal regulations, and you'll see that because it's administrative law. The federal government can do a lot of things with immigration that stretch the imagination of everyone. And do they have the authority to let all these people in? Yes. Can they decide not to let them in? Yes, as well. It's up to.
What does it look like they're doing? Are they? Does it look like the government, the federal government, is trying to stop this? Like, why would they? Like, what's up with the fence? They said they wanted to remove the fence. Was that a real story?
In which area?
I don't know. I just saw some barbed wire fence, and they said that the federal government is asking the Texas government to remove the barbed wire fence.
Oh, if it's something that Texas put there, then you were not authorized to put it there, because this is our area, and we need to get to the river. So you're blocking the Border Patrol from going there, because it's also a law enforcement agency, but most of the rescues that happen along the river is Border Patrol that's doing. Because they have their boats, they have their helos, and then somebody decides to drown through the river. I mean, go into the river and start drowning. Usually, Border Patrol is the one that gets to them first.
Right.
Because more people die drowning than crossing the desert.
Okay.
And now it's just a matter of like, I'm not gonna go walk 15, 20 miles in the desert if I can just go here and they're gonna let me in.
Right.
The people that are going around is the people I have to worry about, and there's not enough people out there patrolling the areas in which the smugglers would use.
Yeah, see, that's one of my rules where I don't know what's going on. I refrain to comment. So when I saw them remove the fence, I'm like, I mean, I can believe what the grifters are saying. You know, they're basically saying the federal government is letting people in, but I'm like, is that the truth, right? And it does make sense that you would say, look, we're trying to handle the border crisis, and we need to get to where we're going, and this barbed wire fence is not helping, right? And from my point of view, I think the government is trying to do something about the illegal immigration at the border. I think they are starting to make a move to slow the invasion. Would you agree with that or no?
I would say that they are trying to manage the flow of individuals into the country. Trying to manage it.
Okay. So certain individuals can come in and some can't. Is that what you're saying? Is there some filtering process?
Mayorkas said that we are trying, if I remember correctly what he said, he talked about we are trying to manage the flow of, he used the word asylum seekers, into the United States in a safe and humane manner, and be able to provide them with legal pathways. They didn't say anything about slowing the flow or fixing the issue. They're talking about managing.
Okay.
Because if you wanted to stop it, you could stop it.
Interesting.
I mean, it only took one guy, one orange person, to just get elected, and everything dropped to levels that nobody had seen. They had like Border Patrol guys out there that they were like, I haven't seen a guy in like 5-6 days.
When Trump was in president, was in office?
Just his presence there was enough to shut down.
Wait, you're saying that just Trump being in office was enough to slow the invasion?
Yeah.
They're like, oh
Just
shit, we ain't
showing up.
fucking with him.
Because remember when all these activists, the cartels, and everybody, when he got inaugurated, right?
Mm-hmm.
They started sending groups of people. You would remember, you would find them. You could see all these people going through the river, and the customs and border patrol were there with riot shields, and they were throwing rocks, and they were tear gassing them and back and forth, and they would try to go around. Right. So what happened? In the past, they would do something like that, and the media would create an uproar, and they would say like, "Oh, we got this thing going on. This is inhumane. This is this. This is that. The people that are crossing and the gas and whoever was in office would be like, well, we need to get involved and just, talk to the Mexican government. We need to sit over here, and we need to send a meeting, and we have to create a commission to study." And they would just let people stop rioting and just come through here, and we're going to deal with certain things. Because they wanted to force them, because it's like politicians and just like ambassadors or all these people at the department. Whenever something happens, they just want to like stop the crisis. No, we got this going on. We got to stop it. We're negotiating table. So they can go over there and they sit down. There's a picture. There's a bunch of pictures. There's a pens. I give you a pen. You give me a pen. We sign here. We have reached an agreement, and everybody's happy. Doesn't matter if you get screwed over in the middle, but there was an agreement. There's a piece of paper that's signed, and everybody's happy. But when you're doing it the other way, they're like, no. I want results. And this is what I want. Oh, we're not going to give it to you. Okay. And then they'll go like World War II. Well, let's get to the negotiating table. I said, no, there's no negotiation. Unconditional surrender. Well, we don't agree with that. Okay, well, we're going to continue to bomb you until you change your mind. And that's what we did. Just this guy said, like, no, I'm not. They can't come in. So when they finally decided, yeah, you know what? This guy, that's not yielding. And the people started calling back to their family members and said, hey, this is not the time. It's rough. It's hard. Wait it out or don't come yet. That's what happened. Same thing with the when I was at a undisclosed location in Texas where they had that thing back in the day with the horses.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Well, why the Haitians that were coming, and it wasn't just Haitians, it was like from everywhere. They had been living in Brazil and Chile for years, ever since the earthquake in 2010.
Okay.
They had the kids were Chilean citizens. They had Chilean green cards or protected status, and then Joe Biden said, kind of like everybody's welcome,
right?
And they're like, well, here we go, and they just like, okay, we're going, and that's it. Deterrence is important.
Do you think that this welcoming is about making illegals have the ability to vote?
Well,
at least
order
partly.
for you don't even have to legalize them. It's way more, in my opinion, it's way more Machiavellian than that.
Okay.
Which is the way things are going. You are going to have 12 million people here by the time January next year.
Okay. 12
That's
million
like
illegal migrants.
Yeah, that's like Arkansas, I think. 12 million people.
Okay.
They're going to be here. And most of these people that are coming, they are going to Florida. They're going to New York. They're going to Chicago. And they're going to Cali.
Mm.
So not necessarily worry yet so much about Florida, but let's say you get 2 million on each side.
Mm.
And remember that New York has been losing people.
Mm.
They all went to Florida.
Mm-hmm.
California lost a lot of people.
They went to Texas. Texas, Idaho, yeah.
Yeah, Texas.
So these
what you
people
can
are
do
replacing those. No, my bad. Go ahead. What they do is what?
Yeah. So what they're going to do is not necessarily replace them in the sense of voting or anything like that. So if you get like 3 million people in each one of those states, if this is just like the prison, when they do the census in 2030, that means your state gained 3 million people.
Right.
And when you rearrange Congress based on that
Population,
census,
right.
some states are going to lose representatives, and some states are going to gain.
It's like a form of
And if you get-
gerrymandering.
And if you get more representatives, you get more electoral college votes.
Right.
So let's say I don't remember. I think California
I
has
see
like
what you're
47.
saying. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so they're like, well, yeah, those people cannot vote, but I don't need them to vote. I just need them to be here.
I just need them to be here so we can restructure our districts. Yeah.
Yeah, and then California might, let's say they have 50 and New York goes to 30. And Florida or whatever state goes like that. So then really you only need 3-4 states to like win.
Mm. Hey, man, I appreciate the info, man. We're going to have to connect
no
more
worries,
often
anytime.
in regards to this story. I just wanted to get the real from the real, you know, the people that actually been to the border. But I appreciate you, man. Hotep and Bill.
Hotep and Bill.
Shout out to Reaction PR. Reaction PR has been to Hotep Con. I'm in a face-to-face. Yeah, anytime something goes down the border, he's usually, like, updating me. Sometimes I don't even respond. I read it. And like I said, I really don't care. But what I do care about is what you guys care about. So if you guys say, yo, what's up with this thing? I go, hold on. There's an expert in the Hotep community for that. Let's get them on the line. Let's make sure everybody's educated. So when you go online and you see something that is may or may not be what it seems, you got the real for real straight here from the Hoteps. Let's talk to Rudy.
Call from
Rudy the Vet.
Rudy, what's up, man?
What's going on, brother? How you doing? Look, I'm not even going to go crazy today because I'm going to hope you monetize this, all right?
All right. What you got for us?
But what Reaction PR said is absolutely right. But if you look, all right, first of all these conservatives up there screaming and crying when the left says the Constitution is a living, breathing document, when the left had control of that court and started not voting down the constitutional lines, are now crying because Amy Coney Barrett voted on constitutional lines. But if you listen, if you look at what Ken Paxton said, this lawsuit that they just voted on yesterday, and you want constitutional conservatives to vote constitutionally with that, then you should be pissed off that the other 4 didn't vote to say the federal government has jurisdiction over the border. But if you look at what Ken Paxton, the AG of Texas, is, they are building that border off of the U.S. border. If you look at all the video going up, they're laying new containers and new razor wire off of the United States border wall. All of this is going up inside of Texas. It's all coming up. All the new structures that they're building are inside of Texas because they already blocked the border, and the Border Patrol went down there and cut the razor wire. They already put the buoys in the river, and the Border Patrol went in there and moved the buoys out of the river. So if you look at what Ken Paxton is saying, all this new stuff going up is going up in the state of Texas. It's not going up on the U.S. border. Okay, that's first. So if you're a constitutional conservative and you believe in that goddamn document, then you're all pissed off because of the invasion that the Biden administration is 100% they're not stopping the flow, dude. He said in the debates, immediately surge the border, rush the border, dude. They've been facilitating it. They had a deal. The Senate had a deal last week that the House was like, yeah, well, there's no way. Where they were like, well, we're going to cut it back to 5,000 people a day. And the Republicans helped, the rhinos helped negotiate that thing, right? So you got to look at this from a 30,000-foot view, okay? And let's take it back. California said, we're legalizing marijuana. The federal government said, no, you're not. California said, yes, we are, in defiance of the federal law, and they legalized weed, okay? Federal law, that's a Scheduled I substance, right? That's a Scheduled I substance. California said, we're done with it. We're not following your laws no more. We're opening up dispensaries, medical things. Boom, they just blocked on the feds. Then you got all these states. It's unconstitutional. The states don't have the right to become sanctuary states and just declare themselves sanctuary states. It's unconstitutional, but they do it anyway, right? Biden forgave student loans once. The Supreme Court ruled you can't do that. What did he do? Went back 30 days or 90 days later and say, oh, yeah, we're going to do it this way now, and put it back. So they're defied the Supreme Court again. So you got right now the destruction of the United States, the plans. Alex Jones has been on this for years. The UN plan to destroy this country. So now you have the people who believed in that court the most, and we were like, man, this court might help us. The people that were pissed off, it took them 50 years to get the court just to overturn Roe v. Wade, mad at the court. And now you have Texas that's like, okay, we're not listening to y'all anymore. So now you have both sides, the blue states and the red states, saying we're done with this court, man. We're done with these federal laws. So if you look, here we go. This is the friction that is being caused. Now, when Trump was in, he wanted one simple question on the census. Are you a U.S. citizen? He wanted that, because what a Reaction PR said is exactly right. He wanted that because if you weren't going to get those reps, for counting illegal aliens. They weren't going to go around and kick them all out and round them up like the media and AOC said. They just wanted to know because they weren't going to give you a vote for an illegal alien. They weren't going to let you count that as into your population. So this is 100%, like he said, to get 3 or 4 states that control the whole freaking country. So this is, you go to the 30,000-foot view, the only thing that's going to, Texas, you could go out there, right? They started videos this morning. There was all kinds of videos. They're not stopping putting up the border inside of their state. Now, they also have the gates open at the U.S. ports of entry because they can't do anything about that. But they're building that wall, and it's made of ship containers and razor wire, and they're building that shit across Texas, a little makeshift wall, and they're going to keep building it. And they're not going to stop. And if you look at what the AG of Texas said, they have lawsuits now going into the Supreme Court about how the federal government is failing to do its constitutional duty to protect against invasion. And that case is about to come up. So everybody stomping their feet and mad as hell, they voted with the Constitution, man. Whether you like it or not, it's constitutional. It says, hey, man, the feds control immigration. You could stomp your feet because your side didn't win. But that chick voted with her and Roberts. As much as John Roberts is a flip-flopper, he's not a conservative anyway. But they're all shitting on Barrett. What you should have been shitting on Barrett is 2 years ago when she voted saying it was constitutional to force everybody to get jabbed. That's when you should have noticed that this bitch is a snake, right? When she voted saying forcing people to get jabbed is a constitutional thing. That's where you should have known she was a snake. You should have known that she was no good. Not this one. This one, the other 4 are playing partisan politics with our Constitution, but it's all, and Alex has been on this for years, it's all designed to break us from within, dude. They're going to break us from within, dude, because the doctrine of the Chinese government, the Russian military, we cannot invade the United States because there's a blade of grass. There's a firearm behind every blade of grass. Got to do it from within, man. Got to do it from within, man. This Bezmenov came over here and told y'all what they've been doing about the useful idiots promising you anything that you. So you got this Bowman going out putting with Sheila Jackson Lee putting a $14 trillion reparations bill into the floor. Do you think that in an election year, do you think you're going to get $14 trillion in reparations? You think that's going to happen? Does anyone think that's going to happen? Dude, I mean, we are a dumb society, brother. We are a dumb society, man. We are dumbed down. And as for Cucky D and Bitch B, you know what I'm saying? That little, he was saying some base shit in the beginning of the argument, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
But then he turned around and said that professors aren't down with that shit. Get the fuck out of here, dude.
No, he's right.
You were like,
no, he's right. He is right.
You think professors?
There's
you
a
think
lot
professors aren't down with that?
No, what I'm saying is he said there is pushback from professors. And there are a lot of people. Nigga, I'll show you one right now. My homie's a professor at Temple University, and he be railing against the shit.
Okay.
You know what I'm
If
saying?
it's coming from you,
Like,
you ain't even got to show me, man, because I trust you, man. You've given me good information for 3 years now.
They hide them. They hide these professors. Now, will I say that these professors outnumber the woke professors? I can't say what the disparity is. I will not say that. But there is pushback from professors. I'm going to find his videos for you in a second.
And I believe you.
I posted one
but
last
also
week,
when you
actually.
Is there any conservative professors on any of these institutions? Maybe you have base left professors pushing back.
Yeah.
But you don't have conservative professors on college institutions, dude. They don't get the job to start with, dude. Unless you go to Liberty. You know what I'm saying? Unless you go to Liberty University, you're not getting a conservative professor, man.
Yeah.
The polls have been done. The data's been done, man. Like 90%
Cardone is a racist.
of the education system or consider themselves Democrats or liberals, dude.
Yeah.
So you might be right. I mean, I'm not arguing with you because listen, dude, you've given me good information. So I appreciate the proof, but I don't need the proof.
Yeah.
But you know, some of these base lefty professors might be pushing back. I'll give you that. But there's no engagement from conservative professors because there's no such thing as a conservative.
No such thing as. I was just about to say that because they don't even participate.
They won't even give them the job. Even if they went. If you think of a right-wing conservative professor went to Harvard, was like, give me this job, they're going to be like, oh, we're going to give him tenure. No, you're not getting the job.
That's true.
And James O'Keefe exposed that all throughout the state of Connecticut a couple of years ago when he was showing how conservative people were going and trying to get jobs at the school district, and they were writing them off just if they were Catholic. They couldn't even get – the minute it said Catholic on the application, they were written right off.
Right. So
this is all, you follow AJ like I do, man. You know Alex is, dude, this is written, dude. This is written. It's tear them apart from within. It's the divide and conquer at its finest, man.
Yeah.
At its finest, man.
Yeah.
And you already had the Republican Party of Texas murmuring about pushing legislation to secede.
Yeah.
And now you're going to come in and yeah, you can go cut the razor wire we laid up on the U.S. border, but what are you going to do about the shit we're building? We're building a half mile in. That's our border.
Mm-hmm.
So they're pushing the envelope, man. They're pushing the envelope.
Yeah.
But I mean, you want to solve it all? Just pass the thing on a census. You have to check if you're a U.S. citizen, and if you're not a U.S. citizen, you don't get that vote. And they'll stop this shit instantly. Then they'll switch to, we need amnesty. We need amnesty. They did this shit to Ronald Reagan, man. They said, give them amnesty and we'll shut down the border. So he gave a bunch of people amnesty and they never shut down. It's been happening since the 80s, man. It's nothing new under the sun, bro. This is the same plotted destruction, the Maoist revolution at its finest, man.
Yeah.
At its finest. Destroy old customs, old laws. It's written, dude. This is the playbook, man.
Yeah.
This is the
Well,
playbook.
let me make sure
I
we
love
get
you,
to the
brother.
rest of the
I'm
calls.
out, man.
It's 4 o'clock
I'm good.
already.
I'm sorry to get so long-winded, man. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Hotep and Build, I'll give y'all a shout out to Grift.
All right, yo, appreciate you, man. Check this out. So this is him right here, the business bully. And he's a university professor.
So my whole life. Come on, man. I hope I never see any jerks again.
He be railing against the left, boy. I posted one of his videos last week. But anyway, let's go here. Look at this. So this is why I be saying, like, and Clint's a good guy. I just think that Clint is somebody who gets his information from the internet, right? Like, when it comes to the border, I'm getting my information from somebody at the border. You see what I'm saying? Like you're not gonna see me talk about the border on the internet because I'm like, it's too nuanced to do that. And when we talked to Reaction PR, you saw how nuanced the conversation is, right? So here we have Greg Abbott. Says the Texas National Guard continues to hold the line in Eagle Pass. Texas will not back down from our efforts to secure the border and Biden's presidency. So this is called political grifting. He just grifting. He knows, hey, let me get my clicks. I'll get reelected. He's playing fucking internet games, right? He's not being serious, okay? Then Clint bites. He thinks it's real. Clint thinks what he's seeing on the internet is real. So he says, just imagine for a moment that the Biden administration orders armed men to engage with these guys while they're defending the border. There's never been more obviously moral side to be on. I stand with Texas. All right? So, again, believe in the propaganda, right? And then we have somebody who tipped me off to this. He actually replied to that, if we can find it. Hold on, let me go back. I think it's towards the top somewhere. And where is it? All right, right here. Addict of Brian, he says, listening to Hotep Jesus, and one of his callers said this is not what it seems, and I tend to agree with him. Right? This is why you watch this show. Because we're not here to play political games. We're here to tell you the truth so you know that everybody's bullshit and everybody's full of shit. Okay? We got to give you the real for real. And I just think Clint is just caught up in the grift, right? When you're one of these internet personalities, what happens is you're forced to comment on everything, right? And that's something I discipline myself in is I'm not going to comment on everything. Like the last time I had a viral tweet was when Nikki Haley talked about the Civil War. And I'm like, hold on now, I got to correct this shit. But for the most part, I'm sitting back and I'm just watching everybody grift. I don't have opinions because the topics that people bring up are bullshit. They're not interesting. They're small brain. I just don't have anything to say about it. But when you're a content creator and you're on Twitter and you're trying to get your numbers up, and you're trying to get the Elon bucks, you comment on everything. You know what I'm saying? Jonah, call in. Let's start to Jonah. I want to take a look at, what did I want to look at? Oh yeah, the responses to my tweet. I thought I got some interesting responses to my tweet. So, we're looking at 42 comments here. Wendy O asked, what does it actually mean? This guy says DEI is Marxism. They're all rooted in critical theory and dialectics. And I said, fact check, true. So this is what I was saying before. When people use the term woke and wokesism, it's like you're talking about Marxism. Here's Jonah.
Call from
Jonah.
Jonah, what you got, man?
Nada.
I can't hear you.
Can't hear me?
Nope.
Yep.
Nope.
This is the phone that doesn't work. Let me call back on the other one.
All right. It's the phone that doesn't work. We need to be able to hear Jonah because we can barely hear him with the good volume anyway. Matt Sinikowski said, and always bundled with an ideology, quite brilliant design. Owen Jones. Who is Owen Jones? I feel like I've seen him around before. Yes, but they'll reply about how wrong you are because they always wanted to make it about race. That's correct. And that's exactly what they're doing. Intersectionality DEI is about a lot of different critical theories. This guy says it's about power. He said, I thought it was just communism. See, there's all good responses. It's about division in every dimension, says Inside of the Ages. Also true.
Call from
Jonah.
Jonah, what's up, man? What you got for us?
No, this one should work better, right?
Huh?
So, I said this phone should work better, but
okay.
First off, the immigration thing, man. How the fuck was it at 11 million in 1986 when Cheech Marin made Born in East LA, and it's still at 11 million? Yet there's millions coming across every year. It's
the same number over and over again, right?
Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm pretty retarded in English, but I'm pretty good at math, so that should go up somewhat. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that means there's some sort of management that's happening.
there's either a whole shitload of money laundering, or McDonald's is getting some cheap meat, and now they're being added to drinking water. But that's me.
Mm-hmm.
DEI. I've said this before. DEI in Latin is actually God. These atheist academics want to label themselves as God, and they are so fucking Marxist. They think they can organize society. They think they can tell people how many children that they can have, if they're allowed to have children. So DEI is depopulation. It's the women. They're focused. Women are told to focus on their career so they don't have 8 grandchildren or more, like my grandparents did. You know what I mean? And then all the guys are all gay. So again, no kids are being born. And that's exactly what DEI is. It's depopulation agenda.
All right, what else you got for us? That's fire, by the way. That's fire.
That's exactly what it is. What were the other topics today too?
We talking about wokeism.
Who cares? Yeah, wokeism. Who cares? Destiny, man, and like even if I go to a strip club, I'm not even fucking getting to dance from a chick dating Destiny. She's always the fat, ugly one. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So who cares about that fuckhead?
DEI is the genitive singular of Deus, the Latin word for God or deity. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is an organizational equality training term. So this is Google trying to do some disambiguation. But you're right.
What? I told you before, trans and cis, right?
Yeah.
So trans, I wasn't really going to. Trans when that first came around. I mean, that's been there my whole fucking life, right? So I'm like, I was like, trans, whatever, transport, trans, and whatever. You're going you're traveling, right? Well, as soon as they start saying cis, that means it's a war against it's a war against society, a war against population. Because cis means this side of. So saying this side of gender. And then trans is that side of gender. That's literally Latin. So that's why these people, they use it. Oh, back to this stuff from yesterday. This is man, I've been digging into this. Far worse than we were talking about yesterday, natural asset. So it's Rockefeller in conjunction partnership with Inter-American Development Bank.
Mm-hmm.
And it's intrinsic exchange or something like that, which is the New York Stock Exchange itself as a fucking shell company.
Mm.
So this is the New York Stock Exchange, and then so the entire global GDP, according to the IMF, 106 trillion, and they're saying that this natural asset is going to be 125, whatever it's per annual, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like how the fuck are they going to make an entire industry out of like the air that's worth more than the entire GDP in the entire world?
Mm.
Like, you think that the Federal Reserve Act was bad? Wow.
Nailed it.
Like, what's that?
Nailed it.
Yeah. Like, I just blew up my. Oh no. Here's the other thing with that one too. This is my last point. What this will literally allow this to happen is Norfolk Southern could go in and buy the air in East Palestine, and then charge those motherfuckers for the air being dirty. That is literally what they're doing.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. So when I tell people this is the biggest scandal of scandals, like everyone needs to look into this. Everyone needs to tell their mother, their father, their fucking dead cat, whatever.
Yeah.
So, but I've sent you more information on that. But it's bigger than anyone. Like, man, I can't even believe that this is like the most flagrant thing I've ever seen from these people, and that's a lot. Or saying a lot.
Awesome.
Anyways, Hotep and Build.
Appreciate you, Hotep and Build. I'm trying to figure out when this announcement coming out. We're supposed to have an announcement from Syscoin today. Where it at? I know they're on a different time zone. Team might be cramming. Okay, let's go back. Can you see this? Wonderful. Oh my, yes it is. It's fake, but jargon till real info detox. Yeah, but there are 83 genders. Precision in language equals precision in knowledge. Correct. It's about both. This guy says it's about both. And you're missing the point. 100% facts. This guy says, nah, pretty sure it's a scapegoat to attack capitalism. Maybe. I mean, Marxism is the antithesis to capitalism, but the concept, see, this is, all right, let's talk about Jewish power, okay? Let's talk about Jewish power. On one hand, you got Marxism, which is perpetuated by a Jew, and then on the other side, you got capitalism, which was perpetuated by a Jew, right? And people talk about capitalism as if capitalism's a good thing. And people talk about Marxism as if it's a good thing. When the truth of the matter is, both of them are pretty shitty. They're both pretty shitty, and they sort of balance each other out. And when you say attack capitalism, it's like, well, parts of modern capitalism do need to be attacked. Specifically, lack of reserves in the banking system, right? Specifically, centralization of credit within the hands of the state, which is termed capitalism, but it's really Marxism, right? So then you got the obfuscation of the terms capitalism, et cetera, and it's like you can't just dumb it down to it's about attacking capitalism, because that simplifies it too much. Because it's not about attacking capitalism. Capitalism is this God up in the air that people try to protect, right? And Marxism make you believe it's attacking capitalism when it's like they're not even they control capitalism. Marxism controls capitalism. Why would they want to destroy the thing that they control? That doesn't make any sense. Marxism is about culture and destroying the society from a moral perspective. And the traits of people. The capitalism is the result of the traits of people. The markets are a result of what people choose to purchase. And then the production comes from what people choose to purchase. If you can control what people like and dislike in their behaviors, you control the markets. So you can't say it's about attacking capitalism, because that's downstream, as Andrew Breitbart said, that's downstream from culture. So that's why I have to go wrong. It's not about attacking capitalism. It's just the attack on capitalism is a byproduct of this stuff. To Senator Loki, 10 gifted Hotep Jesus memberships. Hey, to Senator Loki, I appreciate you, man. You the fucking man, yo. Keeping the channel alive. This segment of the show is brought to you by the Senator Loki. Adam Foster, he says, I politely disagree. It's always been about race, but now includes gender and sexual orientation. So this person's historically illiterate, because DEI has always been about feminism. And everybody knows that affirmative action was to the benefit of white women. It's always been about replacing men. And see, this is the problem when you see men talk like this and they get glossy-eyed thinking this shit is about race. And I'm like, no, this shit is about getting rid of you, white man and black man. This shit is about getting rid of you, man. This is about women taking your spot in the job place so you can't get a job and take care of your family, man. So you have to commit crimes, man. This is an attack on you. And you have gotten confused and thought it was about race. Then the race hustlers on the left and right think it's about race. Or they know it's not about race, but keep perpetuating the lie that it's about race. It's never been about race. It has never been about race. It's always been about control and the destruction of man. This person obviously, doesn't know what's going on. They're kind of lost. So what does this say? In poor countries, communists seek to divide people by class. In America, with the large middle class, they seek to divide us by race. Don't fall for the propaganda. Truth about the race war. That's true, although DEI is definitely about gender. And that's how they're dividing us. The race is the red herring. DEI is their new CRT. It's about eroding free market capitalism and liberalism. So again, this is what I would call like the educated idiot, where you read something, all right? You read something somewhere, you know, could be some expert on postmodernism or something like that, right? And then you take what they said as verbatim. But when you're a Hotep, what you do is you read these works on postmodernism and you boil it down and you come to your own conclusions. That's what people fail to do. And when you come to your own conclusions, you start really seeing what the truth is. And it's not about liberalism. It's not about capitalism. It's about moralism. Moralism. Again, the markets are downstream from behavior. Okay? Let's go big brain and pull it up. Let's go big brain. I'm going to take about 3 minutes. This could take me 3 minutes to find. Well, it's going to take me seconds to find, but it's going to take me some time to find. All right, so here's the document. Let's put this up on the screen. Maybe I'll be able to find this section pretty fast. I think it was. Yeah. This section right here. Ludwig von Mises' circulation of credit theory of the trade cycle, right? So the Marxists have, or the Keynesian economists have one theory about market cycles, whereas Mises in the Western world has another concept of the cycles and how they work. So in here, I'm going to try and find the section. Maybe it's not this chapter. Maybe it's the next chapter. Is it in monetary inflation? Is it this chapter? Monetary inflation and price inflation? This is the book I read last month, so my memory might be a little bit off on finding exactly where this stuff happens. I could have sworn it was in monetary theory, but I want to read you what he said. Hold on. Okay, here we go. So it says, in a typical boom, the banks eventually became skittish, perhaps because of rising prices and other indicators, and they abandoned their cheap credit policy. That is, the banks stopped injecting new amounts of unbacked money into the loan market, and interest rate rises toward a more appropriate level. At this point, many entrepreneurs realized that they had been too ambitious, and they either scaled back operations or shut down altogether. The workers who had been drawn into unsustainable projects during the boom years must be laid off in order for their labor to eventually be allocated to more sustainable outlets that are consistent with genuine consumer preferences and saving behavior. All right. And then he goes in further here. Okay. It says this is a good metaphor for the market economy in the throes of a credit-induced boom-bust cycle, right? So that's when the banks induce the boom-bust cycle. It says during the boom period, driven by the influx of unbacked money and artificially cheap credit, entrepreneurs begin various projects that are physically unsustainable. It talks about how entrepreneurs realize their error, banks and their cheap credit, and then the investments balance out or correct. In any event, whenever the boom ends, the damn, no, I don't think it's this chapter. This is after the fact. So it might be not this chapter. Beyond the Fed. The shadow banking chapter was really interesting, but I know it's not that chapter. Yeah, no, it's not that one. Is it this one? Yeah, no, not that. I might not find it. I'll have to take some time another time to find this section. But basically, what he boils it down to is when you're a Keynesian economist, you try to predict behavior and then you change interest rates based upon the behavior. Whereas in the Mises or the Austrian school, you don't touch stuff. You move according to behavior, and behavior dictates the price of things. That's why I think it might have been in the inflation chapter. Okay, yeah, here we go. So this is where he talks about monetary value versus okay, yeah, this is the equation here. So MV equals PQ, right? So basically what he's saying is the price multiplied by the real output produced. So P would equal price, and Q would be, if I'm not mistaken, production, right? Or GDP, right? Like the output, as it says here. And he says, what's wrong with MV equals PQ? And he says here, I'm going to read this entire thing. It says, economists in the Austrian tradition have criticized the equation of exchange. In the first place, it seeks to explain economic phenomenon in a mechanistic fashion, the way an engineer might write out an equation describing the flow of water through a pipe. In contrast, the Austrians typically follow the approach of Mises. Make sure you guys can see this. Okay, good. The approach of Mises by using the subjective preferences of an individual to explain his or her demand to hold a cash balance of a certain size, right? So the Keynesian economists will say, you can explain the markets with this equation. And the Austrians are like, it's not that simple. Because people have, like it says here, subjective preferences, right? So it says at any moment, there is no such thing as money in circulation, as the equation of exchange leads us to believe. Rather, every unit of money is always held in an individual organization's cash balance. That's true. And the Austrians typically use this perspective when tackling problems of monetary and price inflation. This micro method can then be scaled up to arrive at the market demand to hold money, which interacts with the total supply in order to explain the purchasing power of money. In this respect, the Austrian approach to explaining the price of money is the same subjective value theory used to explain the price of apples. It says here, in light of the Austrian method, the variables of the equation of exchange are unhelpful or even nonsensical. No individual ever relies on the average velocity of circulation of money when making decisions. The notion of a price level, P, is also dubious because it invites the false notion that changes in the quantity of money affect all prices uniformly. Yet, in fact, when new money enters the economy in the real world, it isn't neutral, but instead causes some prices to rise faster than others, and in a sense transfers wealth from the rest of the community into the hands of the early recipients of the new money. The impact of this uneven process of price changes is called the Cantillon effect. Putting aside Cantillon effects, there is no reason for monetary inflation to necessarily have the same proportional impact on even the average index of prices. As Mises observed, once a hyperinflation is underway, injections of new money may lead to greater than proportional increases in the price level as the community seeks to rid itself of cash as quickly as possible in exchange for other goods. For example, once hyperinflation is underway, if the government doubles the quantity of money, then this action may result in more than doubling the typical price of a consumer good. Okay? Hopefully you guys are following. I'm going to rip through this fast and explain, whatever I feel needs to be explained, but I think you guys are smart enough to follow. On the other hand, as the advanced economies experienced after the financial crisis of 2008, sometimes large injections of new money do not correspond with comparable increases in consumer price indices. Even if we restrict our attention to money in the hands of the public, M1, M0, it is still the case that there is no automatic connection between money and consumer prices. To reiterate, no matter what happens, the outcome can always be reconciled with the equation of exchange because it is identity rather than a falsifiable theory. If M doubles while prices and real output stay relatively constant, the explanation is that V suddenly fell in half. In a scenario like this, the objection to the equation of exchange isn't that it's wrong, but rather it may mislead observers into thinking there is a simple relationship between monetary and price inflation. Okay, so last sentence here, it says the equation of exchange, MV equals PQ, is an identity and therefore must be true. Yet it invites a mechanistic view of the economy right here, rather than explaining prices on the basis of individual decisions to hold cash balances of a particular size. So basically what they're boiling this down to is the fact that when you're looking at your economy, when you're looking at capitalism, this shit is based upon the individual behaviors and decisions of people. So when you try to dumb down the conversation to it's an attack on capitalism, you know, I'm saying, no, it's an attack directly on behaviors. And those behaviors affect capitalism, quote unquote. But we don't even live in a capitalist society. And that's the other thing where people perpetuate a lie. They perpetuate the lie that we actually have seen capitalism. We don't live in a capitalist society. So when you say this is an attack on capitalism, you perpetuate the lie that we know what capitalism looks like. We don't know what capitalism looks like because we live in a Keynesian world. We live in a socialist, Marxist world. We live in a world where they try to explain individual behaviors with a mechanistic formula. That's not free market, laissez-faire capitalism. So you can't say it's an attack on capitalism because capitalism doesn't exist.
I wish all the black people were as smart as Hotep Jesus. And I wish all the white people were as smart as Hotep Jesus. And I wish all the Hispanics were as smart as Hotep Jesus. Because that guy, he really gets it. He knows how to boil it down.
So this is why I did all that to tell you why Jason, the human, is wrong about eroding free market capitalism. Free market capitalism doesn't exist. You don't know what it looks like. Well, none of us know what it looks like. We've never lived in it. Second front of feminism. Now that's a good response. This is like, you know, the fourth wave of feminism. Sky says, I don't know if it's about gender. It seems to be more about the religion of the leftists. This person says DEI is absolutely about race, this obscure CIA type account. Most corporations now have a racial action plan and promise to hire more people solely based on their skin color. So he's drinking the Kool-Aid, right? He says it's about everybody except straight white males. So again, this is to assume that straight black males are not excluded from DEI when we are. Comes down to political ideology. DEI is anti-white. Let's not get it twisted. It's not what this is. See, this is sort of this brainwashing that happens when you follow accounts like and wokeness and whatnot. This person says white women, to be precise. Yes, white women have benefited the most, but it's bigger than that. He said razor sharp, it's about pedos. I wouldn't argue that. They definitely, that's the next leg of the gender argument, is definitely mapism, I think is what they call these people, maps. This person, free speech patriot. Never trust anybody who has the term patriot in their name, first and foremost, because that's just an ignorant person. Shout out to Patriot J, by the way. My bad, bro. It's about race. 100% straight white men are excluded and straight white women must be in mixed relationship. What? Diversity means less whites. That is called racism. So he's been drinking the Kool-Aid. I can't even, there's nothing to extrapolate there. We've gone over this a million times. Ohio Tep, go ahead and call in. Let's talk to Ohio Tep. Black Male First says, the white boys really think black men are living flesh on DEI cash. This is what I'm saying. They think like we're benefiting. Straight conservative black men are not benefiting from DEI. I'm telling you right now. We are not benefiting. You got to go up there and you got to be like, hey, if you do that, you will get hired. And I got people in the industry that have said their friends pretend to be gay so they get more work. This is in the music and fashion and Hollywood industry. You act gay, you get more work. Mostly because your boss is going to be gay. You're not wrong aside from the illegal alien thing. Nothing but fighting age males. Wrong, ask your buddy Scott. Yo, Scott's my homie.
Hotep Jesus?
That's my homie, but he's wrong. He's just wrong.
Call from.
Sorry.
And he's race hustling. I'm not. I mean, that's my homeboy. Scott, I love you, but you know you race hustling. He's race hustling. He's trolling y'all. Tari, what's up, man? What you got for us today?
What up? Yeah. The base left, huh?
The base left.
You know what? I've been thinking this for a while. And you know what's interesting right now? That's basically what you got on the right. The most prominent figure on the right, you know, your future president is base left.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
The New York liberal.
Yep.
Remember they always say Trump's not a conservative.
Yep.
He's not a conservative. And then Nikki Haley is your woke right. Ron DeSantis was your woke right too. I mean, even Vivek was you know, fraternizing with the woke right.
Mm-hmm.
He was the only candidate, the only viable candidate really for y'all was the base left.
Mm.
You know, it's been going on for years. Honestly, when you really think about it, that's all we've been looking at for the last couple months. You know, looking at this primary and all these clowns out here. The most reasonable one is the one that's arguably got a lot, you know, a decent amount of left wing, you know, fairly liberal takes.
Yep.
There's also that balance. You know, another one of them was RFK.
Base left.
Yeah.
Damn. I missed that. Damn, that's a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
I should have included RFK. Right. He's probably the greatest example of base left. Oh, man.
Yeah, no, that's the first thing that came to my mind when you said that. I thought you was going to bring him up.
Damn. You're right. RFK is base left.
I mean, honestly, even Marianne Williamson, I mean, a lot of the people that was trying to run, you know, calling out the fact that they were sitting up there trying to make Biden the only candidate. Like, people was like, nah, we want other candidates. They're trying to run, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely been on the rise for a little bit, you know. Like I said, Trump is a prime example of that.
Right.
You know, that's why that's why the woke right looks so clownish to a lot of people now, because, you know, Trump brought out a lot of he brought out a lot of the disaffected liberals, and he actually brought out a decent amount of disaffected conservatives too, because a lot of them were, you know, like Tea Party type people, you know, more libertarian types. People who might not even know where they align. So, I mean, that's basically where it's all at right now. I mean, those Tim Pool,
base left.
Another example.
Tim Pool's base left.
Yeah, there's a lot of them out there now. Yeah. But no, this was a great topic though, because that's really what you're looking at out here. It's not necessarily that both sides mirror each other. It's just that it's actually hard to tell with some people where they actually align, because, like you said, when you break it down to the specific issues, you realize what people really think, and most people don't really fall on the right or the left.
Most people don't.
They fall somewhere in between.
Right.
And then sound like that dude on that Twitter space.
Ooh, oh, yeah, talking about the bombing them kids?
Yeah.
That shit was crazy.
I ain't gonna lie though. Like he had a point.
That shit was funny.
I swear I was.
That shit was funny.
A special episode.
I was going back and forth with somebody the other week. They was talking about this whole conflict, and I told them I didn't care because I'm like government's doing what they do. I'm like I don't care, but if that terrorist was gonna do something to me, I'm not gonna be out there like, oh no, stop him. Like
yeah.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Government's gonna do what they do.
They're gonna do what they do. Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I understood where he was coming from. I definitely understood where he's coming from, but that is the average person. That's kind of the average black man too.
Yeah.
You probably go to a family cookout. You'd be surprised a lot of the takes you would hear, depending on what topic you bring up.
Oh yeah, they're gonna be crazy.
Yeah, especially from a black family.
Yep.
Closest thing you can get to a black family at a cookout is like a southern, hillbilly white family, your redneck white family.
Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna be your closest thing to it. Yeah.
That one conservative uncle they like to talk about.
Right. Right.
Yeah, man, I appreciate this shit. I like how you broke that thing down between Shapiro and Destiny, especially because and like
I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what to expect, but the shit was so easy to break down.
Yeah, I mean they basically mirror each other. That's right, like you kind of said. Like I mean they basically the same thing. Both of their voices are unbearable to listen to. Like the Shapiro probably slightly worse. Because, it actually hurts to hear him talk. I thought I was the only person. I don't know. His voice do something to the microphone. It just be like reverberation, the magnetic. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Just make you want to turn it off.
Yeah. No.
But I appreciate you, man. Because, I wasn't even gonna watch it. So now I know what happened.
Yeah, you don't need to watch it. It's nothing
synopsis.
there. Yeah. No.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
All right, no doubt, man. I'll see you tomorrow. Hotep Bill. Tari on the check-in. We want it down here. This person said, translation, white man, please leave me out of it. Let's work together and attack women. Well, he's half right, because that's exactly what I want. I want you to leave me out of it. Like, y'all keep complaining about DEI and think it's the black man. And then he says, let's work together and attack women. And it's just like, wait, how did we get to attack women? I don't know how you made that intellectual leap. It's not about attacking women. It's about protecting women. And the fact that when you kill masculinity, when you destroy masculinity, it leaves women vulnerable. We're not looking to attack women. We're looking to expose subversive ideology. That's really what we're looking to do. It's not about attacking people. Oversimplification from this obscure account. It's about what all three of those words mean in the dictionary before they get strawmanned by right-wing political hacks. It's probably one of those left-wing bot accounts. So yeah, I'm enjoying new Twitter and being able to watch how the political landscape is evolving, or I should say devolving, because we're in a cycle. But I'm not interested in like saying what's popular, because at one point I was, because what was popular was the truth. Like, the media is the devil. Yeah, let's go in on that. But now it's just like the right has been so wokeified. It's like, damn, like what's popular now is to talk about gay shit. Like, motherfuckers are like, oh, let's talk about, what's his name? Dylan Mulvaney, the Bud Light cat. And I was like, all right, I'm not about to turn my account into an account that posts trans people all day. We're just not going to be doing that. And I'm not going to be an account that sits here and just complains about DEI all day. And I remember when the right was about empowerment, or maybe they weren't, and I just missed the boat. But now it's just like, I got bitches on the left and the right of me So everything I say is going to be unpopular, but I'm sort of enjoying that because what's happening is it's really narrowing my audience. And if you guys know anything about my background, I come from marketing, and we always want to narrow our audience. So it's sort of fun to see and learn who this audience is and being able to separate myself from the pack, because it was really hard during the Trump years to separate yourself from the pack because we were all pretty much on the same page. But now it's really easy to separate yourself from the pack because the grifters are in supreme grift mode and race hustling. So just being yourself allows you to stand out now. And, you know, you're seeing that with how we counteract, right? Like how we counteract that. All right, masculinity is under attack. Fine, perfect. We're going to do something about that. We're not going to complain about it. We're going to highlight it, talk about the ideology. Then we're going to bring you the greatest movement of men to ever grace this planet, which is men of order.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
See what I just did right there? Why I'm a genius. So we got menoforder.com. This is a movement for men. You become members. What happens? You get your brain supplement, fix your mind, get your mind right. You know what I'm saying? And then you got the testosterone supplement. Make sure your body is creating the right amount of testosterone for your body, and then giving it to people at a fair price, giving it to people at high quality, because you know, on one side you have the left, right? And what do? They're playing with children's hormones. They're playing with people's hormones to do the gender thing. And what we're doing, we're not playing that game. We're playing the let your body dictate how much hormones are good for you, and allowing these supplements to support that process so you feel more of a man. And then, of course, we have the blog. And then the blog has the information, the things you need to learn about, right? So we're talking about coding. We're talking about crypto. You know, Cassius Cam's got his workout of the day, right? How to not lose your job to AI. These are, you know, some of the stuff that we're bringing to people. So, you know, we're not talking about, you know, the latest trend in politics today. We're looking at our society as it is and saying, here's where you need to focus your attention. Yeah, there's stuff happening at the border. Yeah, it's DEI. Yeah. But what skills do you have? Is your body in the supreme optimal shape? Because I'm going to tell you what, when shit hits the fan, your cardio better be right. Your testosterone better be right. Your brain better be thinking very quickly and fast. Because with the invasion of migrants and everything else going on out here, you're going to want to be on point. So while people are complaining about the Bud Light kid and the lack of masculinity, the Hoteps are very much involved in a movement called Men of Order, menoforder.com. We're signing on members every single day to make better men. And that's what's going to make the difference in this world. Who's making better men? Or are you just going to go online and just complain about what the left is doing all day? Choice is yours. Choice is yours. Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast. Today's Tuesday, my day off. I'm going to go relax, kick it with the kids. Probably give them a strong lecture. And I'll be back tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, as always. Be well, be merry. Tell somebody in your family that you love them. And I'll see you tomorrow, man. Let me make sure I miss no super chats. Strong Dad, he says, to answer Jonah's question, it's the same number because of human trafficking in the organ trade. Most of them will never be seen or heard from again. Yo, there's a lot of truth to that. A lot of truth to that. Jeremy R., what does this say? HJ should interview uneducated economists. Okay. Get me in touch. I ain't got no problem with that. Got no problem with that. All right, I'm out of here. Later. Hotep and Bill.
Yeah, I can try to get that handled for you. Again, it's only my second day, so if you can give me a second. How I'm supposed to do this. How the hell are we supposed to do this by 5 o'clock?
I have no clue.
Is that possible? Hey, do you have the password to... How'd you finish all your work already?
He's not tapped in. How'd you get that done so quick?
They think they're gonna be able to budget that?
It's money. That's money right there. You understand? You guys finished your work 6 hours early?
He's not tapped in.